Oh my God. Great. Fabulous. Oh my God. It is endless bullshit. Ah, I'm stupid, but I wonder if I'll ever be smart like a real girl. Good morning, everyone. So I'm sorry I'm late. I got distracted by a bunch of fucking internet trash. There's so much internet trash out there on the highways, on the super highways. Be careful. There's a lot of roadkill. There's a lot of damaged hearts that probably need to get off the internet. Just saying. Bunch of fucking internet stalkers on this app. Listen, I don't. Hey, Lee. No, I'm so late. I'm terrible. It's just been a morning, I guess. I don't know. I haven't even poured my. With all the lateness, I still don't even have my coffee. I, I'm an old lady. It's true. I'm an old lady, and I'm gonna start being much more. I don't care if I see my name in a chat somewhere, because inevitably it turns on you. If you mention the fact that you've been, or if you try to stand up for yourself in a chat where the people don't know you, try to stand up for yourself in a chat and people don't know you, they all of a sudden use it as their own like personal Jesus, so they can complain about how you're dismissing them or you're I don't know what. But I'm going to tell you right now, all the people who are on one side of a moron and on the other side of the moron are the same as the moron. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't. It's been a funny 3 years, I guess. Good morning, Pep. I'm being really loud. I need to not be loud. I can tell it's going to be one of those mornings. Aw, thanks, Hags. Me and my big screaming matches. Let me tell you a little bit about Lolo. A little bit about Lolo. I travel in my own circle, and I have for a long time because I'm just not a joiner. I don't fit in groups like a lot of people. I mean, I'm not alone. I don't fit in groups. I'm not a joiner. I just be me. I just be me. And the fact that there are people on this internet app that are just so consumed. Yes, Lee, we do. The people that they're so consumed that you can't even just interact with people because you're immediately asked to become part of one tribe or one group or something like that. And if you don't, there's some kind of purity test. And it doesn't make any sense to me because I don't have any of the context. So they're barking up the wrong tree trying to push me to one side or another. I don't do that. And I don't know if that's maturity. I think it probably is in some regard. Intelligence, empathy. I don't know. But I'm kind of happy that I stick on this side of that equation. Because I just this morning, I go in to say hi to another chat room. And all of a sudden, I'm being attacked by people. I have no idea who the fuck these people are. While I'm just trying to say, hey, this is what happened from my, which is stupid. And when am I going to learn not to say anything? Just say good morning to the host and then leave. But no, I had to be all kinds of stupid. Oh, it's so insecure. Yeah, the insecurities, hell yeah. No, they just, are just so fucking selfish. Like I can't even believe how selfish people are. That you're like, You're looking to be wounded. I don't look for wounding. Like, there's enough wounding that comes our way as human beings. I don't look for people to wound me. And yet, there are some people whose entire existence on this app is, I'm wounded, look at me, feel sorry for me, as if they can't gain any respect from me on their own. They have to have some kind of reason for me to give them respect. Well, that means that there's probably not much for me to respect in you. If you have to use some situation as a way to garner my respect, which first of all, I don't care why you want it. It's kind of dumb. Who cares? Here's what I think. But if you're thinking that somehow you're going to force me into a corner of making declarative statements, you've got the wrong lady. I don't do that. I don't do that. It is manipulative, and I'm 61 years old. I've seen a lot of fucking manipulation in my life. So I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. So don't come for me, you stupid fucking weirdo. I mean, and if we have to go there, I'll go there, bitch. But you do not want me to go there and start putting you on blast. So there. Anyway, they all deserve each other. You know, it's kind of like the house in Poltergeist that eats itself at the end. I hope they all fucking eat each other alive. And they are. They are eating each other alive, which is great. But leave me out of it, okay? I've been on these streets a long time. I've been with this group in the whole convoy ecosphere a long time. Hi, Dean. Yeah, butterflies, they're just fucking, and we know this, right? Like, I knew they're weird. But they don't know me, so I assumed they wouldn't, like, attack me without, but that's dumb. How dumb is that? How dumb am I? I'm so dumb. Hi, Dean. How are you? I don't feel very beautiful. I went real fast today. But anyway, so that's how my morning started. Rapture faster, bitches. I mean, really. Oh, get the fuck, you know what? Get down off the cross, because somebody needs the wood. That's what I really want to say. Okay? Oh, I was chatting with my friend in the UK who just returned from holiday in Tunisia, making Christmas plans. Yes. There you go, Lee. That's what's important. Because that's the stuff that's important. That's the stuff that's important. Not whether or not someone on the internet thinks one thing or another about you or doesn't hop too fast enough if you're not acting like you're the loyal. I'm not loyal to any of you bitches. Not you guys. You guys I'm loyal to because we're friends. But the other people on these streets, oh, go fuck yourselves. Seriously, go fuck yourselves. Seriously, go fuck yourselves. Y'all deserve each other. You really do. Anyway, good morning. Sorry I'm late. Here we go. Sorry. Yikes. Wow, that was a weird experience. I'm going to be honest with you. That was a weird way to start the day. I was just like, whoa. 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 Um, yeah. Anyway. I found it to be surreal, to be very humbled and grateful for everything I've ever received. And yet at the same time, I have to dissociate myself once I saw the same thing. Yeah, it happens. It totally happens. Lisa Grace, you bought you brought donut holes. Did you? Thank goodness. I would like a glazed donut hole, please. Thank you very much. That sounds so good, Lisa. Grace Lisa. I love that. Is that okay that I call you that? Because I just think it's now I think it's really pretty. Grace Lisa. Have coffee pot will travel. Take, wake, and bake literally today. Fuck yes. Love good. Yay. Is it Grace Lisa or Lisa Grace? What do you think is better? I don't know. Grace Lisa kind of sounds fine. I don't know. It depends on what comes out of my head in terms of what I'm thinking. Yes, cheers on this Juneteenth. Cheers, because guess what? There are things far more important than us and our petty little beefs on the internet. Oh my goodness. That's all I've ever wanted people to think is that the internet is not the be all end all, and the beefs you have with each other are not real. That's not real. It's not real. You need to calm down. You know what's real? Children in the Middle East are frightened because there are two crazy men that want to bomb the fuck out of countries between their home and another's. That's what matters, okay? Not this bullshit of who worries about whose brother and who talks about whose cat and that doesn't matter. Oh my God, how fucking embarrassing for you if that's what matters to you. If that's what matters to you, that is disgusting. You disgust me. Yeah, alarms all over Israel. The documentary Tuesday was really good. Yeah, the 13th, we watched the 13th. It's available on Netflix. Really good. Very good foundational information around black struggle and what the black experience in America has been and what we as a country have done to subjugate others. So a really excellent film, the 13th. And then tonight we are going to watch a shorter documentary called Juneteenth, Faith and Freedom, which I'm really interested in. I haven't seen it. It's a PBS documentary from a few years back. So I'm really interested in it. Tom Payne, how are you? Happy Juneteenth. Let us hope it is a day of true liberation for people, and that certainly that the black experience in this country is acknowledged and uplifted and frankly is addressed, because systemic racism is so deeply embedded in our country. So yeah, it was a really good. It was a good. I was really grateful for that documentary. So tonight should be good. I'm looking forward to it. Let me see what we've got this morning. I have some stuff, obviously, lined up. Bookmark. Where is my bookmark? Oh, I know. I had those ones I wanted. Okay. Yeah. 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 We had some stories from yesterday that we didn't even get to. Oh yeah. That I think I I'm not sure if I put this in yesterday's. I closed the stupid uh window when I, you know, had all our tabs in it. Oh my god, my voice is still not 100% back. That's really crazy. So I still have some documents from there, but let me see. I just want to make sure we're not missing. I don't know why I thought. Oh, I know. I'm in the wrong place. Oh, you don't know me. Da, 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 da. You don't know me. Um, what's today? The 19th? Yes. I know. I can't even keep that. The youngins call that based. Yes, they do, don't they? They do call that based. They usually don't call me based, though. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's not usually. I don't usually get that label. Incels don't love me, but oh well. Are you having a pot of tea, Badger? Is that what that means? Oh, I really thought I had something. Those are all the 24th. Are these guys all on? Oh, it's a federal holiday. Oh, I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. All right, that's fine. Great. We'll have a relaxed morning. Cruz Carlson, hilarious interview with two idiots. Oh, I know. What the deal? Wait. Because that actually. I'm sorry. Sometimes those things are fun to watch. It's so sweaty and humid here. I'm like, no, nobody touch anybody. Okay, and can I just offer again? Oh, you're offering honey lemon tea. Oh, now I get it. Now I get it. Thank you. in an odd way. But I get it, and I'll take it 100%. Um, it is unfathomable to me that we find ourselves in this position right now with this war that we are affecting in Iran, uh, on Iran. And it is really insanity to me that uh, Mike Huckabee this morning is like, oh wait, what did he say? I put it on, I think I put it on, did I put it on Blue Sky? Hold on, let me see. He said something about, like, does anybody else get the feeling that they don't really have a way to get people out of the Middle East? Like our embassies are somehow less than right now. Does anyone else get that? The way they talk about, oh well, if you need help getting out of Iran, call the task force. Isn't it seem kind of like, wait, this doesn't feel like the Americans are actually being provided with the necessary lifeline to get out of harm's way? Does that sound like anything? Does anyone have any like inside experience of or hearing from diplomats or their staff? Here we go. Oh, Teresa Carter has that. Oh, that's not that. It's just a clip of him. Okay, hold on. I want to see if I can find this. Oh, and first of all, yeah, Chad Lobianco or whatever the fuck his name is, he can try to run for governor all day long and twice on Tuesday. No one is going to vote him in. Okay, kids? I don't care how MAGA. There's definitely a lot of MAGA here in California. This Chad Bianco guy is not going to win. He's messy. He's a very messy. They're telling Americans in Israel to shelter in place. So, is anybody upset about the fact that this didn't need to happen right now? And that now people's lives are in danger because two men can't keep their dick in their pants? And by the two men, I mean BB and Dump. Why aren't people more upset about that? Why? I don't get it. Really is fucking amazing to me. I was trying to find. Oh, I know. One more place. Anyway, I thought that was really weird. Yeah, I'm furious too. It's like you're literally putting people on in trouble, like in harm's way for no reason. You didn't have to do this. You didn't have to do this. You're doing it to obfuscate from your own guilt, both of you, and just an abject desire to control resources and colonize more land. That's what it is. And I don't know why I'm not hearing just that more. And I don't know. This time in our lives, this is why the petty bullshit. Why don't you shove your motherfucking petty bullshit up your motherfucking ass, you selfish bitch? If you're watching, because I know you are, because this is all they do is watch for being offended. Oh my God, get down off the cross. Okay. Sorry, got me fired up this morning. Um, and just the fact that this president, whatever he uh, is playing with the, oh, well, maybe I will bomb him and maybe I won't. Oh my God. Why are we, why is that acceptable? That's not how a president acts. That's not. There's nothing right about this. There's nothing good about it. There's nothing good is going to come of it. Ugh, ugh. It's just absolutely maddening. Maddening. Yeah, the Timu Antichrist. Oh my God, Badger, you win. That's perfect. That is actually perfect. The Timu Antichrist. Because that's the other thing. Sometimes, uh, well, maybe not ever, actually. But the really evil, evil, evil people, when they're really dumb and evil, that's scarier to me than really evil and smart. You know, which is not really, doesn't really make a lot of sense, because actually evil and smart is pretty bad, because then they can fool you into the fact that they're not being evil. So that's not very good. Um, this, oh my God. It's just too much. It's too much. It's too much. Okay, let me see, because I had a couple more articles I just want to pull up. I've got quite a few articles for this morning, so we can stay to the business at hand, not get distracted by petty bullshit. Oh, this was one of Lee's finds that I want to go over. Good there? Okay. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. It's really too much. Okay, let's do this. I'm just like shocked by people's behavior. I really am. I shouldn't be, but I am. I'm still shocked. Okay. So this is our beautiful Lee. She found this, tagged me in it. You know how I love Justin Wolfers. He's so smart and cute, and he's got that sexy voice. He has the compromise on them. They won't do a thing. What is that, Tom? Which one does that mean? You're talking about BB. In my opinion, BB's way to stay out of prison, making himself a wartime leader. I've heard the parroting chatter already. And I think that's true. And he really tried to do that even with his attack on his ethnic cleansing in Gaza. So, yeah. No, they can't stand up to this president, butterflies, because most of them are frightened of being primaried, which sounds ridiculous and so novel at this point that we would even have a primary. Hi, Jane. You didn't miss anything. I was late. I complained about people on the internet, and now we're starting to look at what I've gathered together. He is a total hottie. And the brains, Peter, holy mazzoli. That's it. I'm a sapiosexual. I go for brains. That turns me on. I don't really, looks aren't really the thing that drive me. It's your brain. I fall in love with your brain first. And I get terrible, terrible crushes. So I try not, I'm really trying hard not to fall in love. But I do love a good brain. But Justin Wolfers, who is an adorable person, is also very smart. Brain's not separate from hotness. Oh, hell no. Not at all. Actually, it's a feature. For me, that's just my thing. All right, policy, aka tariffs plus uncertainty plus destabilizing fiscal policy, since March has shifted the U.S. economy in a stagflationary direction. So don't believe everything Miss Beasley tells you. Yeah, he had me a good day, mate. Oh my God, my coffee is so good. Does everybody have a good like coffee or tea or water or something this morning? I hope so. I hope you're easing into your day. Oh, and I hope people have the day off. Oh my goodness. I hope you have the day off. I know not everyone does, but I forgot. I keep forgetting it's like technically a holiday. I hope you have a day off. Sorry, heard my name. Making another coffee. Justin is a gem. Yes. Did I see the picture of the G7? I'm not sure, because which one are we talking about? I keep hoping to bump into him yes, Lee. Work on that. Oh my God, Lee, one of these days we should do like a co-interview with him. Brains, beautiful hands, deep voice, empathy, looks great in a suit. Locke's like, oh yeah, no, totally, Jane. And who are you describing? Ruth. Oh, Besant, that's right. Mrs. Beasley went to the G7. Oh, butterflies, I forgot. I didn't see the picture. We'll find that. I've been drinking coffee in bed since hanging with the grands when I was very small, and it has been a very long time. Oh, I love that, Grace Lisa. Grace Lisa. Lisa Grace. All right, I'm gonna read this. My eyes aren't working though. Okay. Latest Fed forecasts show slower growth, higher unemployment amid higher inflation, with the rate staying higher for longer. Oops. Oops, I did it again. I played with your heart. I need to try and track him down in a friendly, non-stalker way. Oh yeah, Lee, totally. Totally. We just have questions. We have questions about the tariffs. You understand my son, my FASA. He just became a U.S. citizen. He just got his citizenship. He posted it on X. All right. So latest for Fed forecast showing slower growth, higher unemployment, higher inflations, all the good news. Economic projections of Federal Reserve Board members and Federal Reserve Bank presidents under their individual assumptions of projected appropriate monetary policy, June 2025, expressed in percentages. So here we go. Let me see if I can even begin to read this. It says median, central tendency, and range. I might not be able to read this because I'm not an economist. But let's see. Let's see if we can determine. All right, let's just see. So this is the median. All right, we'll stay with median. Okay. So this is the projection. The change in real gross domestic product. Currently a positive 1.4, positive 1.6, positive 1.8. And then the March projection 1.7. Okay, that's fine. Unemployment rate 4.5%, so staying pretty steady through the 3 years. March projection. Okay, that's fine. Price. What is that? PCE. What's PCE? Yeah, Powell gave his speech yesterday. I didn't even actually watch it. Did he? He didn't do anything with rates. Otherwise, I would have heard about that. And then the central bank in London also kept their rates the same, their interest rates. So they're kind of holding steady. Okay. Unfortunately, I really don't know how to read this, so I should stop trying. But anyway, that's what Justin Wolfers says when he looks at this table. So I choose to believe what he says. All right. Well, that's great, Justin. Thanks so much. Um, and speaking of no rate change. Oh, okay. Good for him. Good for him. Good for him. There's another guy I'd sleep with. No, I'm sorry. He's very happily married. I wouldn't do that. Jerome Powell, very sexy. I would like to hear him talk to me about economic policy in a whisper. I guess I'm feeling that stuff this morning. Val, I'm having real trouble just signing into that goddamn computer. So let's make sure we're working together on where to send it. I've got Bobo. She's gonna work on it on her time off tonight. But we're gonna fix that for you because it's coming. Okay. I don't care where I have to find you. It's coming. Anyways, yeah. So this was another thing that happened that made me sad. Lots of things are making me sad these days. This is why I don't understand people that are so drawn up in their own vaginas and so worried about their own shit right now. Like, get the fuck over yourself. Are you kidding me? Get the fuck over yourself. Okay, made different. Yeah, I know, but I'm gonna get it. I just need Bobo to help me prep it, for lack of a better term. I can't get into the system I need to get into to download everything and clear it out and make it clean. So she knows how to do that, but she's been stacked up at work. So, but she gets some relief tonight. So I got you, girl. I got you, girl. It's coming. I'm so excited for you to have it too. I'm sending an old computer to Val, because I want her to have a real computer. She needs, like Val, you need to put up an Amazon wish list, okay, girl, because you deserve it. You deserve to have good support from a community of stuff you need to stream. Because I want more streams. So there. So I would participate in that. But yeah, I'm sending her an old MacBook that I have that is it's not too old. It's like 5 years old, but it's really not. It's not. I'm not using it for my purposes. I'm using a PC now, and it wouldn't it wouldn't do me much good to even turn it in or trade it in or anything. Um, and but Val very much needs a computer. She's trying to do her videos on her small tablet and phone, and it's not. She needs a computer. So anyway, sorry, Val. I don't mean to tell your business outside. Forgive me. That was probably rude of me to do that. But I'm just delighted that we can work together and collaborate so that we get more Val videos. That's what I want. I want more Val videos. Okay. Anyway, enough about that. Enough about me. Me telling everybody's business out on the streets. I love you, darling. All right. So the Senate did pass the landmark crypto regulation bill. A landmark is an interesting word, but whatever. On a bipartisan vote, sending it to the House, which I really want to understand about that. I want to understand. All right. The 6830 vote on the Genius Act was the first time that the Senate has passed major legislation to regulate digital assets. Well, what is that? Oh, that's John Thune. God, what a terrible picture that is. He looks like the Teletubbies. Oh, I wish I had my little soundboard up, but it's not working. But we would do the Teletubby thing. All right, here we go. Washington. After weeks of stops and starts, Senate Republicans teamed up with a bloc of Democrats on Tuesday to pass a landmark cryptocurrency bill. Let me guess who's in it. Let me guess who's in it. Yeah. La la. Oh. Um. Tinky Winky. I'm sorry. Where does one find Val's videos? Well, let me tell you. Hold on just a moment and I will give you that link. Tinky Winky. Oh my god. Teletubbies, big part of this household too. Um, where are you, darling? Where is my sister? Okay, it's because of me. Tinky Winky. La la. Which one did we decide was the other one? I can't remember now. I can't remember. Oh, that's right. It's Scuba Val. I always forget Scuba Val. Jiggly. Lolo sent me a smack book. Carla. Smack. Snap out of it. Wagon wheel Watusi. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Whoops, that's me. Good morning, Teresa. How are you, darling? Okay, this is Val's channel, and it's a must sub because she has such beautiful like little nature videos and stuff, and she's a nomad, and I spent some time in the desert with her a couple weeks ago, and I love her so much. I can't even tell you how much I love this woman. So that is our beautiful Val in a van right there. But yeah, do subscribe to her, Peter. You'll enjoy the content. I mean, it's just really gorgeous. It's just gorgeous stuff. And more. How do you like it? How do you like it? More. Okay, here we go. After weeks of stops and starts. Okay, blah 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 blah. Oh, on Tuesday to pass a landmark. Thank you, Lee. To pass a landmark cryptocurrency bill that would establish the first regulatory framework for issuers of stablecoins. And do we remember what stablecoins are, kids? Stablecoins are crypto coins that are backed by some asset, whether it be the dollar, they're pegged to the dollar, or some other asset. Kind of like dollars. but on the blockchain. Okay. So, and we have a lot to learn about stable coins and sovereign wealth funds and all that stuff. And we've done some of that in the past in our Fucked Financial Fridays. But now, since I don't do a show on Friday morning, we have to come up with something else. So we have to, right now, I'm just going to be integrating. Yeah, stable coins are horse poops. Actually, I think horse poops do more for the environment than stable coins do, Grace Lee says. So maybe not. Tinky winky, la la. Yes, Val is a nomad. Hello, that's right. Val's like, she's an expert. She's really good at what she does. Okay. The vote on the Genius Act was 68-30, with 18 Democrats joining most Republicans in favor. Just 2 Republicans. Rand Paul of Kentucky. Yes, happy Juneteenth, Paul Langan. How are you? Yeah, horse poops are far more predictable. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to start the horse poop coin. It's pegged to the amount of horse poop we have. Yeah, J for genius. Grace Lisa. Okay, here we go. And Josh Hawley, Tom Hawley, Josh Cotton? What? We can still import a car with no tariffs when someone moves from Canada to USA. There you go. Voted against it. Aw. The vote was the first time that the Senate has passed major legislation regulating digital assets. With this bill, Teresa says, Elmo gonna be busy fixing up his blown up rocket. Oh my God. Okay, wait. There was that. Hold on. Let me just find that because why are we letting people like blow shit up? Why? Why are we letting people blow shit up? I don't even get it. I don't get it. You know, like where was that? Where was that? Not an expert on anything. No, but you're just a lovely person. How about that? You're an expert on being a lovely person. And actually, you're quite good at understanding how to do things on the road. So, yeah, I mean, you're an expert to me. Let's put it that way. Okay, let's see. What was I doing? Oh, yeah, I wanted to see the rocket blow up. Hold on. Because I had it saved. Hold on. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Sorry. Okay, wait, what am I doing? Wait, what was I doing? Oh, yeah, I want to see the blow up. All right, it's in the watch later. Here we go. I know I put it in my watch later. Tinky winky. Oh, here it is. Okay. Tinky winky. La la. How Teletubbies say hello. All right, here we go. All right, check it out. This one, this is from this morning. I just put it in my watch later because I'm like, that looks great. Where, not where. Thank you so much, Lee. I was curious about that one. Lee, in the U.S. could be subject to tariff. Ah, thank you. Do you have your Thursday holiday PJs on to wear all day today? I do not. I have a t-shirt on and some shorts because it's really hot. It's getting hot in here. On vehicles, yes. The 25% tariff is on new vehicles, Lee says. Lee's got it. You want to know what's happening with tariffs? That's right. LA is hot.
All right, take a look at this. A fiery explosion during a SpaceX test in Texas. The Starship rocket from Elon Musk's space tech company burst into a huge fireball, filling the night sky with smoke just minutes before a planned test. Now, SpaceX says the Starship experienced a, quote, major anomaly. The good news, no one was injured. A few weeks ago, another uncrewed SpaceX rocket exploded over the Indian Ocean.
Okay. I hate these things. Stop. That's my Disney adults that I watch. I really love that guy. Anyway, yeah. So then that thing blew up, and that was that. Things blow up. They're in space. Yeah, I don't want a guy. Oh my fucking God! I don't want a guy who blows shit up to be in charge of our NASA. Okay? I just don't. The fireburst must be doggy qualitative rocket part cuts. An anomaly. Yeah, okay. Yeah, anomaly. Okay. Mm, okay. Let's see. I want this one to. I want one more. I have a lot to read, so this is good that we don't have anything on the and falls over the Texas. Yeah, exact. Now, never mind what it actually does to like the fucking environment or anything like that. God forbid we should worry about that. Okay, wait, where was I? All right, so we're in the Genius Act. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. I know we made a left turn. Okay, with this bill, the United States is one step closer to become unplanned rapid disassembly. That's right, Peter. Yes, but picture Ven as I see this. If you missed it last night, we rewatched Mountainhead, which is the fictional movie about the tech bros ending the world or not ending the world or something, um, put out by HBO. So if you haven't seen it, it's interesting to watch, especially if you watch these people like we do generally. I think you'll find a lot more in it than maybe just someone off the street who doesn't really know some of the players. But anyway, okay, so with this bill, the United States is one step closer to becoming the global leader on crypto, or crapto, as I like to call it. Senator Bill Hagerty of Tennessee, the author of the Genius Act, said in a floor speech, doesn't that tell you everything you need to know about the bill? That Senator Bill Hagerty wrote a bill called the Genius Act? Doesn't it? It does. Said in a floor speech, this bill will cement U.S. dollar dominance. How does that work? Okay. It will protect customers. Oh, really? It will drive demand. How is that profitable? It will drive demand for U.S. Treasuries. Today will be remembered as an inflection point for innovation in the United States of America, or another big Enron. The Genius Act, it resembles what he has done to our government. Yes, exactly. I destroy rockets and democracies, Carla says. The Genius Act now heads to the Republican led House, which has been working to pass its own bipartisan bill focused on creating a regulatory framework for digital assets. Oh, really? They call it a regulatory framework? Really? Because I can't wait to see how much it regulates. Washington continues to wrestle with how best to regulate the fast growing cryptocurrency industry. Yeah, dung regulators. Well, Democrats have been divided over the issue, with some in the party pushing Congress to do more to rein in an industry they see as rife with conflicts of interest for President Trump and his family. Well, and more than that, okay? Come on now. The Senate Banking Committee passed an earlier version of the Genius Act in April with backing from 5 Democrats, but Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, along with 2 Republicans, blocked the bill from advancing on the floor in May as they demanded stronger national security and anti-money laundering provisions. A group of bipartisan negotiators, Haggerty and Senator Cynthia Loomis, Mark Warner, Kirsten Gillibrand, of course, Angela Also Brooks, and Ruben Gallego later struck a deal on changes to the bill that addressed key sticking points for Democrats. The changes called for consumer protection safeguards and limits on tech companies issuing stable coins, digital tokens pegged to fiat currencies like the US dollar, and they would extend ethics standards to special government employees. Wow, I really hope. I haven't read the Genius Act, so I probably should read it. I don't know. The bipartisan deal unlocked support from a broader group of Democrats, and the legislation advanced on the floor after it cleared the 60 vote threshold. I think because we worked so hard and so long with them that it got a few more of them to yes, and I think this is a real legislative victory, Loomis told NBC. They did get more of what they wanted. They should be voting yes because they were extremely influential in shaping the legislation. But other Democrats were frustrated that nothing in the revised legislation would explicitly prevent Dump and his family from continuing their crypto ventures. New financial disclosure forms reveal that Dump made one of his biggest fortunes last year, $57.3 million, on his family's cryptocurrency company, World Liberty Financial. I don't know. This is a bill that was written by the industry. that will supercharge the profitability of Donald Trump's crypto corruption while it undercuts consumer protection and weakens our national defense, Senator Elizabeth Warren, the ranking member of the Senate Banking Committee, told NBC News. The legislation does include language that would prohibit any member of Congress or senior executive branch official from issuing a payment stablecoin product during their time in public service. But Warren argued that the legislation isn't strong enough to prevent terrorists, drug traffickers, and other criminals from using stablecoins for illicit purposes. The bill is in a better place, but it's not in good enough place, she said. And that's, that's what's interesting, because at the end of the day, we do need regulations in order to address crypto and AI and all of those things. I'm just worried that we're also cementing in some of the bad practices that will not, and you have people that don't actually understand what the further ramifications of this are, right? And I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I know we need to do it, but I don't trust it. Did you see where Dumper moved? Yes, I did, Jim. Pretty disgusting. But are we shocked that he's disgusting? No, we're not. Hope the laptop thing makes it easier for you, Val. I've seen a few of the. I know her videos are adorable. I had no idea she wasn't using like a computer to do them. So I mean, what she's created is absolutely beautiful. I hope it just makes her life a little easier. You gotta have friends. Let's see. Okay, so I think we. All right, so we read that. All right, I want to see. And then we have that from Tina. I've got some things that Tina gave me this morning. Tina. Okay, here we go. This was early on, but let me just see if it's still relevant. This is the problem. Some of these stories come out and then like a day later they're not relevant. Let me see. What is it talk about? Oh yeah. See, this is like this story is no longer even valid because they all apologize to each other and they love each other now. Probably throw ketchup on it. Okay. That's old, and I want to give some context to that. Oh, well then we'll do this one. This is from June 18th, and this one came from Tina too, if I'm not mistaken. I think this came from Tina. Maybe. Yeah. No. Yes, Tina. Okay. All right. Here we go. We're gonna read this along with our network state. Speaking of crapto, let me light a joint. You gotta have friends. Ooh. Ooh. My God. I'm telling you, the selfishness from this morning is still sticking with me. Like, people are so fucking self-absorbed. I can't even stand it. It'll be like that South Carolina candidate. What's that? HMH. Hags. Spliff time, my favorite part of wake and bake. It's time to get a little smoke on. Okay. This founder wants to build a tech utopia in the Bay Area and incubate 1,000 Elons. Oh, Bianco. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he is. I mean, he's just a dumb shit. Chad Bianco's not going anywhere. Nobody likes him in California. Nobody cares. Welcome, Haggard. All right. Let's see. This founder wants to build a tech utopia in the Bay Area and incubate 1,000 Elons. Ooh, that sounds like a lot. Frontier Village. If you didn't catch the show on Monday, Frontier Valley would exist beyond the jurisdiction of state and city governments. What could go wrong? Exactly. Thank you, Tina, for this story. Standing in a vacant lot, sporting an executive's attire of blazer and white button-down shirt, James Gallinera makes a pitch for his new startup, Frontier Valley. We watched it in a promotional video published this week, and Gallinera explains the company's vision, building a Manhattan project of our time. Did we already read this? Is this the one we already read? No, that can't be, right? No. Oh, no. Okay. I got confused. a Manhattan project of our time dedicated to bleeding edge tech development in a regulation-free environment. The proposed venue is right outside of San Francisco on Alameda Point, a federally operated area and the former site of a naval air base. And Gallinera claims Frontier Valley will be a wholly new self-contained Silicon Valley 2.0, except for the fact that if you've seen this guy, you don't really buy it. I mean, it might not gain traction, Grace Lisa. I mean, it might just be something that is being talked about, but this seems like one of the closest projects that aren't already complete. You know what I mean? Like there's much more chatter about this project than there are about other ones, which is the only thing that leads me to believe that it's gaining any kind of traction. Of course, at this point, Frontier Valley is just an idea. The company's website includes a draft executive order that Gallinera wants the president to sign, which we read, mandating the establishment of a national security innovation zone on Alameda Point. In his video, Gallinera asked President Trump, Vice President Vance, and Elon Musk to declare a national security emergency for AI development. The startup is led by Gallinera and Miles Albert, a crypto and blockchain investor. Frontier Valley was incorporated last month in Delaware, business records show. Albert and Gallinera, the latter of whom has a background in co-living startups, I hate those things, are the only listed directors of the company, which currently has 10 million shares of authorized stock, suggesting it is open to investors. Hello. You too can own the network state. It seems like a strange pitch, but an autonomous zone governed by tech companies and their leaders is an increasingly popular concept in tech circles. And even within the Trump administration. Oh, stop. I hate these journalists. I do. I'm sorry. Frontier Valley is seemingly rooted in an idea coined by venture capitalist Bajali Srinivasan in his book, The Network State, which he self-published in 2022. The book is basically a manifesto. I thought it was Balaji, or it's Bajali. I'm so sorry for mispronouncing that. The book is basically a manifesto on building independent tech-controlled cities that traffic in cryptocurrencies and operate beyond the constraints of government and anything considered a burden on innovation. Well, can we also add a little bit to that? That it is basically like a feudal system. And so if you belong to the network state, you're working for the company boss in that area. So it isn't freedom. There's nothing freedom. Nothing freedom about it. Carla, another unscheduled rapid disassembly. Ooh, Montreal steak, yummy. That sounds good. The idea has taken flight in recent years with independent projects like Prospera, a venture capital-backed city off the coast of Honduras, nabbing headlines for its controversial human longevity research. Nabbing headlines? Is that what it is? Nabbing headlines? Nabbing headlines for its controversial human longevity research in the U.S., a group of network state advocates called the Freedom Cities Coalition has implored the White House to establish 10 independent freedom cities within the U.S. And just to remind those of you who may not be aware, these network states / freedom cities / whatever the fuck you want to call them are sovereign unto themselves, which means they don't have to follow the laws of the area or the territory that they're situated in. Okay? That's what happens. This is not a good thing. It's not innovation. It's not tech working for the benefit of humanity. It's humanity working for the benefit of tech. Frontier Valley's video is a rallying cry for companies. It's actually a really shitty rallying cry, by the way. This guy is not impressive. They really chose the wrong spokesperson. Yeah, can they tell that to the 300-mile? Oh, man, Badger, from your mouth to God's ears. Right? Burn it down. The revolution is rising. And I don't think these guys are ready for the fact that we're not just going to transition from, basic democracy / corporate ownership of America in the way that they have been, that the revolution is not going to allow this transition to happen. So it isn't just okay, well, now we're in this phase where we get to buy everything up. I feel like that's going to backfire big, big. I hope so. I'll be there. Will you? Or will you be online crying about how someone doesn't pay enough attention to you who you don't know? Is that what you're going to do? Okay. Against a dramatic soundtrack, Ingalinera frames the stakes as life or death. If we wake up and get our act together and nail this critical window of human history, we will solve the vast majority of today's problems like that, he says, snapping his fingers to demonstrate the simplicity of all this problem solving. There's only one outcome if Frontier Valley doesn't get built. China will crush us. That will be the end of America and the world's greatest superpower. Actually, China wants us. They want us to be good consumers. So I'm sorry, I'm not scared like you are, little boy, about something that is only in your head. Yeah, Juneteenth is a federal holiday. Thank God. Enjoy it while it lasts, because I can't imagine I don't know how they didn't get their hands on the federal holiday list. But here we are. The 13-minute video explains that Frontier Valley will spread across 512 acres, 3 million square feet of office space, 5 million square feet of manufacturing space, and residential quarters that can house 10,000 people. All projects will be fast-tracked by the most expedited regulatory code in the U.S. by far, including environmental reviews for manufacturing facilities that take months rather than a few years. And Gallinera claims that impediments such as bureaucracy, regulations, and stupid culture wars won't exist at Frontier Valley. Not welcome. Rather, he proclaims the project will enable all humans globally to transition to a post-scarcity world that truly liberates rather than subjugates humanity. It's funny because it's actually going to subjugate humanity, but that's okay. We're gonna let him have his little moment. This is very much not something that these guys are capable of building. Okay? Whenever they say something, well, first of all humans globally to transition to a post-scarcity world, they believe that AI will do most of the thinking for business and governments. So they believe, and I'm not making this up, okay? I'm not making it up. These tech bros believe that in a what do they call it? The post-scarcity world, I guess. That AI and other things, computing, will actually solve and keep the business of the world going, while we, I don't know, sit on our things like Wall-E. I'm not sure, but that's the picture they're trying to paint for you. But we know that that's not the case. We know that there's not room for humanity in their network states. They need people to be working towards the end of generating more profit for the network state. So we cannot give any quarter to this disinformation about what they think they're going to build, because it will backfire huge. The project will incubate 1,000 Elons and 1,000 SpaceXs, the CEO says. By the way, the CEO is a big fucking jughead. Who is Frontier Valley CEO? Oh, here we go. Let's talk about him. Gallinera has a history of working in the co-living space. After a brief stint at Bain Capital, they don't wait. They threw outrageous parties. They paid heavenly bills. Faster, faster. I think I'm gonna crash. Doctor says he's coming, but you have to pay in cash. Yeah, Bain Capital. Okay. He founded Founder House, a co-living business for tech entrepreneurs. Basically, work and live together all the time. He In a 2016 interview, he argued that co-living would become the mainstream in a decade and expressed the view that seems relevant to Frontier Valley. The central idea behind Founder House is that we believe a person's level of success in life is determined by more than anything the strength of your network. Wait, what? I don't understand what that sentence means. Okay. He was later the CEO of a co-living company called Tribe Co-living, which he led until 2023. That company has since rebranded to Hive Co-living under a different ownership. This is crazy. These people are crazy. Frontier Valley didn't respond to an interview request, and Gallinera's social media presence would suggest he's interested in human longevity. Of course he is. Bain Capital has a global reach. Yeah, they're amazing. Wasn't Bain Capital also the what's the matter? Who the fuck worked for them? Fucking Mitt Romney worked for them. Remember Bain Capital? Remember that? Yeah, Bain Capital's big. I mean, not great, but big, you know. Yes, payday came early thanks to a public holiday in Germany, finishing up kitchen shopping. Fuck yes, girl. Oh my gosh, Lee, I'm so excited for you. I really am. Vacaville, that's right. Grace Lisa, we forgot. This guy's a Vacaville. Mitt founded it. Thank you, Peter. God damn. I knew there was some big story there. T. Coleman Andrews and Eric Ness, Chris, all of whom were previously at Bain and Company. Okay, that makes sense. All right. He's interested in human longevity, a scientific field dedicated to expanding human lifespans. In January, he wrote, see, we just watched this, you guys. We just watched Mountain Head last night. So this is just making me laugh as we read some of this stuff. That movie is not fiction. A scientific field dedicated to expanding human lifespans. In January, he wrote, the goal is to become superhuman. And Gallinera has also railed against the so-called deep state and accused Democrats of planning to start a war with Russia to save their ass before the 2024 election and Trump cleans house. Wait, what? How are you feeling now, sir? Can I get a comment from you now, sir? He went viral for declaring himself a Trump supporter last year and once wrote that he quit the only full-time job he's had because it's better to die a free man than to live as a lifeless slave whose ability to think and act freely has been incapacitated. Okay, so here's this other funny movement. This is other funny movement on the other funny movement is this oh man, what is it? Enslaved. That all these white guys think they're enslaved, right? They just think they're enslaved. And so watch for that word to come up because once you hear someone talked about themselves being enslaved or something like that, they're an incel. They're a complete selfish bitch incel who only thinks about their own needs and whether or not their penis is still intact. And they're disgusting. Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be amazing. Yeah. Oh wait, the kitchen. That's not the network state. Sorry. I'd much rather talk about the kitchen. All right. The CEO's vision for Frontier Valley is far from certainty. Around 620 acres on Alameda Point is currently owned by the Department of Veteran Affairs, which I'm sure is going to go ahead and sell it to you, which has plans to develop medical facilities and benefit centers on the site. Yeah, but when was that? Was that this year? Was it last year? What? Alameda Point is also a breeding refuge for the California least tern, a bird considered an endangered species by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Department. Oh, did they still exist? There is also the threat of a sea level rise impacting any major proposed construction. Public officials are reportedly baffled by Frontier Valley's announcement. See, this is the problem. Stop being baffled. Stop being baffled. Remember this tirade from the Orange chief recidivist? According to the NY Post, Trump's most recent thing to yell about is that Bain Capital, the hedge fund where Romney made millions of dollars before running for governor, didn't create any jobs. Oh, that's right, Paul. That's what it was. That's what it was. Now I remember. Yep. Yeah, no, these are all incels. These are 100% unfuckable people. Public officials are baffled. They're just baffled. Alameda City Mayor Maryland Ezzy Ashcraft told the radio station KQED that the company hasn't approached the city and that Frontier Valley's plans are a head scratcher. Honey, you better think of them as more than a head scratcher, okay, bitch? I don't know if you're being like, coy about the fact that you don't understand what these guys are up to, but I'm going to need all of the mayors and the city officials up in Silicon Valley and beyond to get their fucking head out of their asses and understand what is in front of them. Okay? That's where I grew up. So fucking figure it out. That's another thing. I feel like we need to educate civic leaders on what the threats are so that they're not caught unawares. Karen Bass. Karen should know better too. Incel is such an unctuous word. It is very unctuous. But when you see this guy, you're going to say, oh my God, that's an incel. A press officer. Now, Latifah Simon, I do definitely appreciate. I know she's very smart, very in touch. I know Latifah. I've met her before, and she's fucking amazing. So we should probably be following what her office is saying, too, about this. I will show you a very small part of this so that you can see what this douchebag looks like, but we already watched his big promotional video, which basically was a whole lot of nothing.
It's time to wake up and to fight. We are out of time. Human-level physical AI is likely just 10, maybe even...
So that's pretty much him. Hi, Neil. Neil, where have you been? Neil, I was late. Did that throw you off, or did you actually have something to do? I got caught in the bait and switch. Oh, no. I'm so sorry. It wouldn't let me go to that one and this and that and the other thing. Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. I fucked up this morning. I let myself get drawn into petty drama. His hand movements are very on the spectrum for robotism. Yeah, I think he is a robot. Well, I think he wants to be a robot, actually. I don't think he is a robot. Neil, we should have gone to find you. I know. I saw your set in Peace Loves. Oh, you saw me? You saw me in there? Oh, how'd you get in there? I'm going to tell you, bitches are crazy. And that's all I'm going to say. Bitches are crazy. Slap a bitch, slap back, because I'm feeling it. The neck. Yes, his neck is so bizarre, Lisa. Grace Lisa. I thought Matt Gaetz' forehead was something, but this is at least a 6 head. Yeah, that's a good point. He's deep in the interviews with the robot ink. Yum. Okay, so that was that. A little follow up on the network state. We're gonna have to keep our eye on Frontier Village. If you know, you know. That's an old piece, but I kind of want to read it. Let me see which one. Oh, well, here, let's read this. This is from Newsweek. This is also a Tina special. She found this. This was published yesterday. Oh my God! Stop. Hey. This. Okay. Public opinion on U.S. immigration and customs enforcement has undergone a dramatic shift as new polling has revealed a reversal in support for the agency. I may have missed a drama, but I needed sleep, I guess. Oh, Meowing Star, it's all good. Drama's not, it's useless drama. Useless. Absolutely not worth your energy or time. Oh yeah, Neil, what did you think of the G7 coverage? They showed hours of it, almost nothing on U.S. media on YouTube. That's true, Jane. One could advertise on his forehead for AI snacklets. A1 snacklets. Okay, here we go. Public opinion on U.S. immigrations on ICE has undergone a dramatic shift. Why it matters. The polling comes after Dump sent 4,000 National Guardsmen and 700 Marines to Los Angeles in response to reported violence against law enforcement, Excuse me, they were the only ones who were violent, period. See every video I've made for the last week for more information. Specifically, ICE agents carrying out deportation raids in the city amid protest of White House immigration policies. Dump faced criticism over the decision to send in troops as nationwide protests taking place over the weekend were attended by an estimated 4 to 6 million people. And polls show that public opinion about ICE may be shifting. Is it? Is it maybe shifting? Really? Really? According to the latest YouGov Economist poll conducted between June 13th and 16th among 1,512 adults, ICE's net favorability rating currently stands at a net negative 5 points, with 42% holding a favorable opinion and 47% holding an unfavorable opinion. That is down from a week ago when a survey by the same pollsters put ICE's net favorability at a plus 2 points, with 45% holding favorable and 43% holding unfavorable. Both polls had a margin of error of between plus or minus 3.3 and 3.5 percentage points. He does have a forehead like a foreskin. Yes, it's so true. It's so true. Since the protests erupted in Los Angeles, Trump's approval rating on immigration has dropped sharply, with multiple polls showing a consistent decline. Pollster Nate Silver, he can go fuck himself, shows Trump net approval on immigration has fallen by 7 points since June 8th, dropping from plus 4 to negative 3. Some other guy's tracker reflects a similar trend with a 5-point decline over the same period from blah, blah, blah. I hate polling. Wider national polls reveal an even steeper slide. An Echelon Insight survey found in May 53% approved of Trump's handling of immigration. Who are they asking? Who the fuck are they asking? I don't understand. Who are they asking? Compared to 45% who disapproved, a net approval of plus 8. By June, approval had fallen to 47%, with disapproval climbing to 51%. Flipping the net rating to negative 4. That marks a 12-point drop in just 1 month. Well, I would fucking hope so. The Ipsos Reuters poll recorded a comparable shift in May. His Dump's net approval stood at plus 2. In the latest poll, only 44% approved, while 49% disapproved, dropping him to negative 5%. I can't go. These numbers are killing me. Okay, the bottom line is ICE isn't popular. Well, I would fucking hope so. That's what I would hope so. So dumb. So dumb. Okay, I want to read about this. This one is actually from, this was from another, June 16th. Okay. This might have been a Tina thing too. Or it might have been a gal thing. I have a bit more steak to make a sandwich today. Oh man, I love sandwiches. I love sandwiches so much. I love sandwiches. Sandwiches are so good. I'm having, what am I having for lunch today? I think I'm having some chicken salad, which is just leftover chicken that I'm making into chicken salad. Okay, EPA plans to reconsider a ban on cancer-causing asbestos. Make America great again. Make lung cancer great again. It is a federal holiday in the U.S., Neil, which is why we don't have any Congress stuff, which I was confused too until I realized it is a holiday. Okay. The Dump administration's move sets back a decades-long effort to end the use of the material, which is widely banned in other countries. All right. The Dump administration plans to reconsider a ban on the last type of asbestos still used in the United States, according to a court filing on Monday. The move, which could halt enforcement of the ban for several years during reconsideration, is a major blow to a decades-long battle by health advocates to prohibit the carcinogenic mineral in all its forms. Known as white asbestos, chrysotile, I'm probably not saying that right. Chrysotile asbestos is banned in more than 50 countries for its link to lung cancer and mesothelioma, a cancer that forms in the lining of the internal organs. White asbestos, however, has been imported for use in the United States for roofing materials, textiles, and cement, as well as gaskets, clutches, brake pads, and other automotive parts. It's also used in chlorine manufacturing. I do love a good steak, like 1 or 2 times a year. But I'd really like to give up eating meat altogether, just from an animal cruelty standpoint. You know what I mean? That's just my personal thing. Last year, the Environmental Protection Agency under President Biden adopted a ban on the use, manufacture, and import of chrysotile asbestos. It was the first legal constraint on a deadly substance since 2016 when Congress updated and strengthened the 1976 Toxic Substances Control Act by requiring testing and regulation of thousands of chemicals used in everyday products. The measure would still have allowed for some manufacturers of up to 12. I love Pekka. Vatnik Soup, Russian weaponized migration in the Discord. Sweet. Sweet. By requiring and testing and regulation of thousands. Okay. The measure would still have allowed some manufacturers up to 12 years to phase out its use, a provision that followed lobbying efforts by trade groups like the American Chemistry Council. I'm disgusted by lobbying. I'm disgusted about a lot of things today, but this is bothering me. Now the Trump administration plans to delay the ban and reconsider the rule. That process is expected to take about 30 months, the EPA said in a filing with the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which has been reviewing an industry challenge to the rule. The delay would move the nation backward, once again putting lives at risk. Linda Reinstein, president and co-founder of the Asbestos Disease Awareness Organization, an advocacy nonprofit. The group said it planned to challenge the EPA's motion to delay and asked the Fifth Circuit to continue reviewing the 2024 rule. According to the filing, the agency will reconsider removing the rule's bans on the import and use of asbestos in the production of chlorine and the installation of new asbestos-containing sheet gaskets in chemical manufacturing and other facilities. The filing was signed by Lynn DeCleva, a former official with the American Chemistry Council who also worked in the first Trump administration. Okay, so this is actually pretty important, okay, because when you hear the administration discuss the push to reshore manufacturing, the push to produce pharmaceuticals here in the United States, the sheet metal, all of those things, all the things, these are the types of nefarious moves that will make, that will sneak in and end up creating even more bad outcomes, basically, for people working with these materials, exposed to these materials. So not only the fact that they're rolling back protections for dangerous materials, but the fact that this is all part of the incredible greed and corruption of this administration and their cohort, who don't really care about the quality of human life, because their quality of their life will be just fine. I mean, it's time for fucking revolt, okay, people? I don't know what else to tell you. I am just about feeling normal again after the last week of being out, and that's because my arthritis is like off the charts, etc. I've got to get back out there. Like, it just feels terrible to not to let, I mean, these things just keep going. They keep going. Okay. According to the, oh wait, all right. The EPA said it does not comment on litigation. Asbestos, a set of 6 naturally occurring fibrous minerals that have the ability to resist heat, fire, and electricity, is linked to an estimated 40,000 deaths annually in the United States. It was first used in construction in the 1930s and became ubiquitous as an insulator in schools, hospitals, homes, and offices, as well as consumer products. In the 60s and 70s, researchers began to associate it with health problems, including mesothelioma, a rare and aggressive cancer that disproportionately affects firefighters exposed to asbestos through damaged buildings. Asbestos production in the United States stopped in 2002, but the material is still imported, much of it from Brazil. The presence of asbestos in older homes added to the health risks for firefighters battling the California wildfires this year. A bill introduced by Senator Jeff Merkley, a Democrat of Oregon, in 2023 would ban imports of all asbestos. It has not been introduced this session. See, so this is like my real point is that they're going to use the reshoring of manufacturing as an excuse to reintroduce and increase the use of dangerous toxic chemicals, matched with the lack of regulation, because that holds them back. I mean, this is why we listen to them. This is why we listen. Because when they talk, even though it sounds like bullshit or it's annoying or whatever, they're telling you what the plan is. And that should be powerful for us as those in trying to resist changes that are going to kill people. Every move is a big fuck you to humanity. You're right, Grace Lisa. You're right. All right, I have a few more things that I really want to read to you. You're going to love them. I promise. There's stuff I wanted to read yesterday, but we didn't get a chance to. So hang in there. I'm going to smoke some weed, and then we're going to get on to this. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, wait. I think we already did that. Okay, so we did that one. Oh, we already did a couple of these. We're so good. Let's see, what's that one? Oh yeah, we didn't want to do that one because it was old. Okay, so we only have 2. Oh my God. Excellent. Let's have some weed. Let's have some weed. Saw more buzzards this morning. Wondered what they were circling. Lots of critters and leftovers from the hawks. Oh. I saw the cutest little hawk in my neighborhood sitting on top of a car. It was like a baby hawk. But it seemed okay. It seemed like it wasn't injured, but it was hanging out, which is very odd, I think. I'll have to put those pictures up. I'll find those pictures and I'll put them up. Anyway. Yeah. People are strange when you're a stranger. People are something, something, some. Merlin, absolutely vicious. Wait, who's vicious? Who's vicious? Hawks? Hawks are vicious? Turkey buzzards look great in the sky and they serve a purpose. Oh yeah, hell yeah. Oh yeah, hell yeah. We love the turkey buzzards. They help keep the environment clean. In case you were going to, please don't feed it bread, Lisa. Uh-oh. Hi, Karen. Oh my gosh. Hi, everybody. I feel like I didn't even. Oh, a merlin is a small hawk. Oh. Absolutely vicious? Are they vicious? Oh my God. Let me find the picture. Hold on. Butterfly in the sky. I could fly twice as high. Where is it? Where is it? I took a picture of it. I love my baby mama. I never let her go. I love that line in that song. Okay, wait. Where the fuck is it? Oh, here it is. I think it's a hawk. And it was just sitting on this car. It was sitting on the hood of this car. And it was probably about, I don't know, a foot tall, maybe less, maybe like is that a hawk? That's a hawk, right? Anybody? Oops. Isn't that a hawk? It's a big bird. It was a big bird, but it was a baby. It looked like a baby. The golden purifier. I love the little barn owls. Oh my God, I love owls. Isn't that cool? It was so beautiful. And everybody was so wonderful. Like the neighbors, nobody was going to touch it or bother it or anything like that. But we were just keeping a goose hawk? Goshawk? What's a goshawk? Butterfly in the sky. Sorry if it's not. Anyway, really cute. I hope he's okay. But yeah. Anyway, he does have 2 legs. He just looked like he had 1 leg, but he had 2 legs. Hi, little hawk. I hope you're okay. I need one of those. My neighbor puts fake owls on his truck to keep birds from pooping on it. Does that work, Josh? Does that work? It looks like a small or a baby hawk. It does, right? It looks like a small. It was probably like. I mean, it probably was like. What is that? I mean, it was probably like 9 or 10 inches tall, probably. I don't know. It didn't look sick or anything, but I mean, he must be kind of upset because he was just sitting on the top of a car and there was like 3 people standing nearby. I can't imagine that didn't make him nervous. He didn't seem nervous though. They show up to disturb the feeders every once in a while. Love rats too. Oh, really? Oh, I could see that. Well, there certainly is enough, like, whatever in our neighborhood. You could probably find stuff. Please don't use poison for rodents. Yeah. There you go. Get yourself a hawk. No. Whoa, butterfly in the sky. All right, this is an article from Harper's Magazine. I don't know if this might have been a Tina find. We keep fake owls on our dock. It keeps the geese from pooing all over it. I guess that makes sense, and it's very natural, right? Like, that makes sense. Baby hawks don't have as many natural fears of humans yet. Well, I hope that we did right by this little baby hawk because everybody was being really respectful. So I think I left, but I think someone was calling animal control to help get him in case he was injured, but maybe. Don't let your cats roam around in residential neighborhoods. Absolutely, Max. And you want to know another thing? In our neighborhood, we have a coyote in our neighborhood, and it fucking ate a small dog. That's right. Bobo was out with our dog walking. She's seen this coyote 3 times while she's walking our dog in our neighborhood, like up close. And apparently, one night when she was out, this guy was very upset because the coyote had just attacked his small dog. So I do not understand people that let animals roam completely. Like, unless they're not your pet, then that's fine. Oh, yeah, coyotes. I mean, I would imagine. I don't know why this coyote's been down here hanging out in our neighborhood, but yeah, the dingo ate his baby. That's for sure. Anyway, sorry about that, but the circle of life. Don't let your animals out of the house. Really, rats. I have a new appreciation for possums. They're kind of cute. Besides the tail, plus they are only marsupials in North America. In my opinion, we buried the lead about them. Should have led with marsupial. Yeah, Jane. Love marsupials. Let's hear it from marsupials. He says it works. Okay, well, I mean, I believe it. All right, this is an article from Harper's Magazine, Harper's Bazaar. Yeah, a hawk will get a small dog. I can imagine that. Possums also eat thousands. Oh, that's good. Well, then that's very beneficial. I appreciate you. Thank you, possums. Get some chickens. They eat mice. Wow, God, this is too much. This is too much menagerie for me. All right, Trumpism after Trump. Is there an after Trump? That's what I want to know. Possums are meticulous groomers and keep the tick population down. Good for them. Let's see what this nonsense is about. All right. This was done on, when was this published? I don't even know when this was published. All right. All right, rest and relax. For a few weeks, I had a hawk who would perch on the back of my patio chair and then would see its reflection in the sliding glass door and attack the glass. Oh, eventually it figured it out. Oh, poor baby. Too much menagerie for me. Too much. Here we go. The course of true nationalism never did run smooth. Ernest Gellner. I don't know who that is. Probably someone smart, I guess. The city was not beautiful. No one made that claim for it. At the height of summer, people in suits, shellacked by the sun, moved like harassed insects to avoid the concentrated light. There was a Civil War-like fracture in America. The president had said so, but little of it showed in the Capitol. Everyone was polite and smooth in their exchanges. The corridor between DuPont Circle and Georgetown was like the dream of Yugoslav planners, long blocks of uniform earth-toned buildings that made the classical edifices of the Hill seem the residue of ancestors straining for pedigree. Bunting, starched and perfectly ruffled, and red and white blue fans hung everywhere, from air conditioners, from gutters, from statues of dead revolutionaries. Coming from Berlin, where the manual laborers are white, I felt as though I was entering the heart of a caste civilization. Untouchables in hard hats drilled into sidewalks, carried pylons, and ate lunch from metal boxes, while waiters in restaurants complimented old respectable bobbing heads on how well they were progressing with their ribeyes and iceberg wedges. I had come to Washington to witness either the birth of an ideology or what may turn out to be the passing of a kidney stone through the Republican Party. Move this a little bit over here. Oopsie. Beep, beep, beep. There was a new movement afoot. National conservatives, they called themselves, and they were gathering here at the Ritz-Carlton at 22nd Street and M. Disparate tribes had posted up for the potlatch. Is that how you say that? Reformicons, blood and soilers, curious liberal nationalists, Austrians, repentant neocons, evangelical Christians, corporate raiders, cattle ranchers, Silicon Valley dissidents, Buckleyites, Straussians, Orthodox Jews, Catholics, Mormons, Tories, dark web spiders, tradcons, lone conservatives, FedSocs, young Republicans, and Reaganites in amber. Most straddled more than one category. They were here because of one undeniable fact. Donald Trump was going to die. Trump might be ejected from office or lose the election or win the election, but he was also definitely going to die. And Trumpism needed to survive. It was just getting started. If Trumpism were snuffed out with Trump, Republicans would fall back into March with the party lemmings in hock to their donors. Hardly any Republican voters agreed with donors about anything as Trump is intuited. But who would connive with liberals to contaminate the country with more immigration, more big tech treason, more free trade, more endless wars, more slouching towards nihilism? The ancien regime was threatening to reconstitute itself. Someone had to stand up for Trumpism in the noble abstract. Someone philosophical who knew how to extract timelessness from the tawdriness. Trump the man might be crude and venal, but Trump the spirit had opened a trap door in history. Some political theological exegesis would be required to unspool the nature of the accomplishment. The old world of the Cold War and the American Empire was over. An older world of nations, a community of nations, a brotherhood was struggling to be reborn. Orban, Bolsonaro, Bibi, Boris, all were wise to it, while liberal professors sat on panels about Hungary's wrong turn, or Israel's self-implosion, or the Brexit backwash, as if history were a hedgerow where only they were privileged to prune. Had they no eyes? China was about to decide whether it preferred curtailing its exports or eating grass. Germany was primed to be pastoralized at last, once Detroit patented the right car battery. It was house hunting season in the West Bank. Did you know a good broker? American industry was at a halftime pause, waiting for Clint Eastwood's voiceover to resume. Was there room at Guantanamo for the executive board of Google? The drugs needed to flow back out, a new opium war, and the jobs needed to flow back in, full employment. A few good natcons would keep the Republic zombiearchy at bay. Fox News might well fall into conniptions at the notion, but what was needed was class warfare, or perhaps more precisely, a war within the elites, to ensure that the future remained Trumpian and did not revert to the globalist highway to nowhere. I'm from the lesbian armpit of Australia, said a buoyant young blonde man, fresh off the plane from his woke-infected hometown of Melbourne. We were thick in the melee of the hotel's bowels. People were collecting their national conservatism folders and pens, adjusting their name tags, lounging in plush chairs and couches were all manner of professional and amateur right-wingers, lawyers, radio hosts, professors, and journalists, all thrilled to find themselves in public so unspurned. In the faux silk-lined hallway leading to the main ballroom, I watched a Texan's cowboy hat get within kissing range of a rabbi's borsalino. The Australian was named Jack. He was there with the blessing of his MP boss to make contact with allies and convey the warmest greetings. It's exciting to be among so many intelligent people, Jack was addressing a dour undergraduate from the University of Texas who was scanning the crowd for luminaries and idly fielding Jack's questions. How did you get here? I was sort of sick of the libertarian chokehold on campus. I've read Carlyle and Evola and Hazoni, obviously, but the college Republicans are still pretty captured by libertarian dogma, like no interest in political economy or national industry policy or anything. I found these folks online. These guys are the guys I like. The high degree of bonhomie, I don't know how to say all these funny, fancy words, okay? Let me actually just catch up with chat for a second. I like the goat grass eating. Yeah, field clearing business. Oh, that sounds good. I love that you guys are just like going off about farms. They left us at flowers. I know. Max Flower has had a terrible time with critters and gardens. Yeah, they eat everything. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Okay, good. I'm just making sure you guys are okay. I just wanted to check in. Okay. The high degree of bonhomie in the ballroom was hard to deny. Conservatives in their comfort zones can establish an instant rapport. Aloofness is rapidly abandoned as a hindrance to the assembly of a highly charged emotional grid. The speed of social fusion exceeds its own object, so that everyone already seems prepared to bleed for what they know not yet what. We ambled toward the dinner tables just as the Russia jokes began. I'd call this stage the Presidium, but I don't want to be accused of collusion with Russia, announced the stony moderator, Christopher Demuth, Reagan's first-term deregulation czar. He handed over the reins to David Bragg, a more treacly specimen. Bragg had worked for the End Times televangelist John Hagee's Christians United for Israel before heading up Sheldon Adelson's Maccabee task force to fight the BDS movement. He was one of about half a dozen organizers of the National Conservatism Conference. We are not alone anymore, Bragg bleated. We want to be connected to one another, connected to our descendants. Our American brothers and sisters are crying out. His voice floated higher in register until it was a full 18th century oracular. The Great Awakening returned. We've read Burke in our Bibles. It was very heaven to be alive now, Bragg observed. Brexit was a sign. The British people literally stood astride history and yelled stop. They refused to sell the birthright of their sovereignty for the shiny coins of higher GDP. And then came a line that seemed lobbed over the assembled guests directly at Jennifer Schussler, cultural correspondent for the New York Times, who was sitting in the far back of the ballroom. We are nationalists, not white nationalists. But no screening system is perfect, so if there's anyone here tonight who believes being an American has anything whatsoever to do with the color of someone's skin, there's the door. No one stood up to leave. Therefore, let it be known that there were no racists breaking bread among us. Bragg next lanced various simulacra of common sense. We give no aid to our immigrants when we promote the erosion of the reason they moved here in the first place. Only by denying immigrants' dreams could those dreams be fulfilled. He ended with a pure sing-song sweetness, chirping out some Whitman to the congregants. Camarado, I give you my hand. I give you love more precious than money. But money could not altogether be expelled from the temple. One of the conference's backers was Colin Moran, a New York hedge funder, who got up and told the audience that he liked every damn thing about national conservatism. He didn't think it was the anti-market at all. Hell, it would probably be better for the market, or at least his market. It's sometimes said that the new national conservatism is hostile to capitalism, Demuth added. He smiled. To rebut those scurrilous allegations, we will now hear from one of the titans of American finance. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Thiel. Thiel was a possible prototype of the new elite that Nat Cons wanted to propagate. He came equipped with a blowtorch to illuminate the meritocratic conspiracy among corporations and government and media. Yes, Thiel was a destroyer entrepreneur straight out of the pages of Schumpeter. In the fairy tale world of Silicon Valley startups, most of which were coquettishly waiting for a Wall Street manager to take them public or for Facebook to acquire them, Teal was a swashbuckling privateer. He could take a machete to the hedgerow view of history. Like the most effective reactionaries, he was all in on technology, but on his own terms. He had co-founded PayPal, a venture that might at first seem too prosaic, even beneath him, until you remember that PayPal's original mission was to become a global currency. Teal was going to make great stuff again, not just new iterations of phones. He was going to reconnect technological advancement with political revolution. He was going to colonize the moon. He was going to extinguish enemies with vengeance. Any American journalist of my generation had to treat that last ambition with a touch of respect. After a gratuitous violation of his privacy, Teal had, in an act of 21st century lèse-majesté, single-handedly eviscerated one of the breeding grounds of New York journalism, Gawker. There were more habitats out there he could scorch to the ground. Teal was a seasoned speaker. He stumped at the Republican National Convention. He'd given Trump $1 million and counseled him to become disruptor-in-chief. Teal claimed to have received little grief from the Trump-endorsing evangelicals for being gay, nor, it seemed, would he get much from NatCons, who mostly held fast to the Walt Whitman position on homosexuality and nationalism. Though Teal's delivery was constipated and robotic, he came across as someone who could beam himself somewhere else at any given moment, and so his sheer presence and attention flattered the audience. He announced his intention to stick to the spirit of what I think we're trying to accomplish, which is widening the Overton window of discourse. I can't. Wait, I'll come back and do this. Let's see. I had a skunk in my backyard. Oh, well, probably won't like deer in my... Yeah, bless you. I lived in a couple of countries. It changed my whole perspective on things that live in your backyard. That's true, Jim. That does change things. We are definitely living amongst other critters and should probably appreciate that more. Must be weird to just be able to give someone $1 million, right, Josh? Like, why money just doesn't mean much to them? It's so weird. Monkeys would steal anything you leave out, especially if it was shiny. I had a lion that would roar right around sunrise every morning and make the hair on your neck stand up. That would be really scary. We all know what well, we don't. My greatest fear, bears on my porch. Okay, sorry. Okay, but what he just said was, what Peter Thiel just said as a quote is widening the Overton window. And that really is, again, listen to what they say. Listen to what they say. It's important. Because it gives you, I feel better knowing what I know about these individuals and what drives them. I realize that it still gives us very little leverage on how to get back on course, or at least on a course that puts us with more human rights. And apparently some people in this world don't understand what human rights actually are, but I digress. Okay. Let's see. Where am I? Okay. Then his mouth dropped open like a torpedo bay, and out propelled a series of questions. Is big tech good for the United... Wait, no, let's do our Peter Thiel voice.
Is big tech good for the United States of America? Is free trade good for the US of A? Is college good for the US? Is war good? Yeah. Yeah.
Thiel was going to drill down into some of the particulars on these matters. Google, it had lost any attachment to the American nation, and it was in bed with Chinese intelligence. Its executives should be interrogated in a not excessively gentle way. Ugh. Then came an interesting new twist. China was dirtying up the whole globe, Thiel said. He suggested that the 25% tariff on Chinese goods be reframed as a carbon tax, and maybe the 25% is a floor and not a ceiling. The audience loved the way that he was co-opting a left-wing cause, climate change, for NatCon ends, American greatness. And it was even perhaps more subtle than that. co-opting a left-wing policy program, carbon taxing a country in order to encourage it to green its economy, and just insisting that its content was populist projectionist. The Trump team, according to Thiel, who had already had the correct instincts on trade. You don't want people negotiating trade treaties who dogmatically believe in free trade, because the worse they are at negotiating, the better job they think they do. But where Thiel really hit his stride, where he began to kill, was on the composition of the American elite. The factories that produced this elite were the universities, and that was the place to train the bomb sites. The thousands of third-rate colleges should be destroyed with criminal investigations, while the Ivies and other elite universities were taxed into oblivion. For there was nothing so big as the self-flattering lies told in America about education, that there were so many good schools and that these institutions were the best place for selecting and training elites, rather than just confirming and credentialing them. He quoted Michelle Obama talking about her daughter's applications to college. The one thing I've been telling my daughters is that I don't want them to choose a name. I don't want them to think, oh, I should go to these top schools. We live in a country where there are thousands of amazing universities, so the question is, what's going to work for you? In their defense, they don't actually believe it, Thiel said, and I would worry about them even more if they actually did. So Peter Thiel has this weird, well, first of all, he's a racist, but second of all, he is really scared of other smart people. He is really, really fucking scared because he knows he's wrong. And this is the key in MAGA. He knows he's wrong. So yeah. Good morning, peace love. I'm never coming in there again, peace love. Just so you know. I didn't know that those people were part of your world, and I choose not to be. I find that very toxic. So I just want to tell you, I choose not to be part of that. I was very disappointed in that conversation this morning. So there you go. That's all I'm going to say about it. This was genuinely funny. Rolling the Obamas over the coals of their own utterances never got old. But Thiel had done more than his duty to the national conservatism by intimating that a new elite could still come into being. It would be a techie elite, and a very small one. Thank you. I'm glad you understand, because that was embarrassing and offensive. And those people are offensive. So that's all I'm going to say. Well, I guess it wasn't all I was. This was generally, but Thiel had done more than his duty to national conservatism by intimating that a new elite could still come into being. It would be a techie elite, a very small one, but one that served the homeland, whose normal citizens would graze among the infinite pleasures provided them. The coming elite would recognize the con of mass education and spare millions the dunce had of the community college or the online university. God, he's such a fucking elite bitch, right? Like, what a fucking bitch. Thiel himself had already tried to buy out promising young coders from going to college in the first place. The Thiel Fellowship accepted applications on a rolling basis and paid grantees 6 figures not to go to school. A picture of the Thielian version of NatCon future was coming into focus. Rooms of talented 15-year-olds finding new ways to drill into the Earth's core and lower temperatures through sublime acts of geologic engineering. Children were our future. Children were our future if they could avoid college. Our savior was not the tech abstinence preaching Greta Thunberg, but some as yet unknown prodigy funded by Thiel who would figure out how to recode the physical processes of the planet. Thiel's private effort to siphon off a natural aristocracy of talent from the doomed universities. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. I never really put it in that perspective of Thiel wanting to control the brains. He wants to control the brains. He's not afraid of, they always say, oh, universities are indoctrinating people. No, he wants to indoctrinate people. Let's see. Trump had won the election by feeding the insatiable anti-elitist hunger in the nation. The Clintons had cooperated perfectly, but nationalists and populists have as much need for elites as anyone else. In the first flush of European nationalism, members of the Napoleonic generation found themselves promoted from cannoneers to princes of freshly conquered states. The Third World nationalists who came to power in decolonizing nations in the 1960s had only recently formed a stratum of colonial rule: lawyers, doctors, poets, and soldiers. The trouble now in the United States was that the would-have-been regional ruling class had been sucked out of every corner of the heartland to join the ranks of the global meritocracy, leaving the ranks of the local elite nearly empty. Anyone visiting an Ivy League classroom would encounter 20 bright teenagers from all over the world, a few of them vacuumed out of obscure corners of the USA, who all spoke the same gradient of English, streamed the same TV series, and believed that they represented diversity. The clever sell of the Pete Buttigiegs and Rory Stewarts of the moment was at least to simulate the return to Ithaca drama of a globalist come home to pay regional amends. But what if meritocratic elites in the general were the problem? Edmund Burke himself had been notoriously skeptical of them, especially in those like himself. Better to be governed by half-demented aristocrats with long-standing claims to land and title than by intellectual hustlers who misconstrue their own rocketing social ascent with the liftoff of humanity in general. As Teal was escorted off the stage through a parted sea of fans, I moved to the center of the ballroom. Something curious was happening. There was a young man in a vintage tan Nehru jacket speaking to a group of a dozen younger people in suits and dresses. The subject appeared to be poetry. And so Dickinson's editor, this guy Thomas Wentworth Higginson, is actually in contact with John Brown. It was too propitious to have the chance this early in the conference to put in a word for John Brown. What's the problem with John Brown? I asked him. The young man in the narrow jacket blinked slowly, tortoise-like, and a knowing smile arrived. Only that he was a terrorist. Only that he's the equivalent of a pro-life activist today who blows up abortion clinics because of the evil inside them. Doesn't it depend on what your cause is, though? Are you a communist or something? He asked in a friendly, sparring way. I mean, it's okay if you are. I'm so far right that I'm in Maoist territory. The speaker was dun, 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 Curtis Yarvin, a Silicon Valley star of the neo-reactionary web, whose teal-backed technology, Urbit, was meant to reinvent computing. Everyone would have access to their own fiercely sovereign servers and would not have to bow to big tech. Yarvin the Dark Knight, the Dork Knight, had written a series of texts under the name Mencius Moldbug, making him a revered alt-right pamphleteer. Oh, I love it, a pamphleteer. I walked outside with the Dork Knight and two Stanford undergraduates and to the corner of M and 22nd. This guy's kind of famous, said undergrad one. The undergrads had both recently taken a course taught by Teal. He made us read Carl Schmitt's Land and Sea, said undergrad two. It was awesome. The pair worked as assistants to Niall Ferguson, the conservative historian who had gotten himself into trouble at Stanford's Hoover Institution for encouraging Oppo research on a liberal student. Oh man, it was bullshit. They only got Ferguson because Susan Rice's son accidentally forwarded a whole email chain to some unreliable student. Wait, you mean Susan Rice? Totally conservative, her son. Yeah, said undergrad one. The Dork Knight was in a gregarious mood. I just wanted to get out and wait.
I just wanted to get out and see what's going on with the official conservatives these days. It's cool that they let me come.
Undergrad one said he was intrigued by the anti-imperial tenor at the conference. We should just dismantle the empire, the Dork Knight said. It could be done so quickly if you really wanted to. All our embassies could be wrapped up right away. There's nothing in the Constitution that says we have to have embassies. Okay, here's what we're doing. Right now, we're not having embassies, and people in the Middle East are frightened for their lives because our embassies are not functioning. American citizens are at risk because of this administration and the fact that the embassies are not functioning. All those staff should just come home. We can conduct diplomatic relations via Skype. Hello? This idea that we'll just Snapchat our war plans. This idea that we need people over there is so ridiculous, such an anachronism. What about Israel? Asked undergrad 2. Do you know how much we contribute to the Israeli defense budget? Said the dork knight. It's something like 3 or 4%. Peanuts. I think we should let them loose. Is anybody really going to want to fuck with Israel? I'd say you'd see Israel picking up new territory in no time if we just let them go. We could roll in our empire and let them give empire a shot. Oh my God. Theirs could stretch from Beirut to Rabat. I mean, they're Jews. They'll figure it out. That's a quote from Curtis Yarvin. The dork night overflowed with antiquarian theories and gleanings. His thoughts kept circling back to the mid-century right-winger James Burnham, a hallowed figure among the NatCons. Burnham's trajectory perfectly matched the moment. He'd begun his career as a mild-mannered professor of philosophy, a genteel Princetonian, whom one student described as having walked out of a T.S. Eliot poem. But some vision amid the Great Depression had changed him. Though he was dazzled by his Marxist colleague Sidney Hook and by his encounter with Leon Trotsky's History of the Russian Revolution, which he interpreted as a coming attraction for America, it still took a car ride through Detroit, the epicenter of the Depression, to clinch Burnham's conversion. The class struggle, starvation and terror in act that he witnessed among the city's auto workers convinced him that capitalism was ruined forever, and he wanted to be part of what came next. I'm just going to take a break, grab some coffee and smoke, and catch up with chat. Chitty chat, monkeys will steal everything you have. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. No, I don't want to. I don't want to talk about it. Jim, I don't want to talk about it. La 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 la. You guys are so cute. In Ireland, I think that was debunked. Oh, thank you, Jane. Thank you. I have garlic. It doesn't keep the deer away. Neither does lemon balm, fennel. I know. I feel like Max has really tried all of the potential deer barriers. There is a documentary about an old unwed mother's home where they would make the young mothers give birth, tell them their baby died, and go deliver their newborn to a rich family. I recall that. I do recall that. They'd never know unless both the kid and the mom got DNA. Exactly, Karen. I do recall that. Max Flower, have you tried human hair? She-Hawk says. Oh, you have tried it. Hi, She-Hawk. How are you, darling? Love you. Good to see you. Good to see you, girl. I know. Try everything. I mean, I feel like Max is one of those people who really has gone through like everything you possibly can. Here we go. Human hair, dog hair, urine, juicy fruit, Irish Spring gold shoes. I've literally tried it. Poor Max. You just got too many critters around you, that's for sure. Okay, let me go back to this. Oh wait, I need a sip of coffee. All right, here we go. Oh my goodness. At NYU, Burnham still lectured on Aquinas and Dante, but he was increasingly occupied with drafting strategies for Communist Party discipline. His attacks on Franklin Roosevelt, whom he accused of being an incipient totalitarian, were even more vitriolic than the conservative attacks on the New Deal. Trotsky, on exile in the island of Buyudka, I don't know how to say that, off Istanbul, was so taken with Comrade Burnham's agitprop that he marked him as a protege. Some organizers around Burnham were put off by his tailored suits, his taste for champagne and baccarat, and his dry patrician monotone. But this was also part of what made him useful. He lent American Marxism a dignified patina. Burnham broke with the Trotskyites over the question of whether the Soviet Union was in fact a worker state. Trotsky thought it still qualified, despite the corruptions of Stalinism. Burnham thought it did not. From his reading of New Deal critics of the modern corporation, such as Adolf Berle and Gardner Means, Burnham came to believe that the Soviet Union and the United States were converging. Oh my gosh, I have hiccups. I have hiccups. We're converging on a kind of managerialism, two only marginally different planned economies with little place for individual freedom. He started drifting to the right and eventually wound up as the in-house guru of William F. Buckley's National Review. But his professional life did have some coherence over the decades. It was spent taking up positions from various crumbling ideological ramparts to get a better shot at his lifelong enemy, the liberal elite. Burnham could summon a good word for Black Panthers, LSD, and Woodstock, which had at least sent some shockwaves to Vital Center Command Control. Refreshingly, the NatCons and the Dork Knight were interested not in Burnham's avowedly right-wing phase, when brittle treatises such as The Suicide of the West appeared, but in his earlier, more ambivalent wartime output, The Managerial Revolution and The Machiavellians, which were written in an era where Burnham was still contending with the remnants of Marxism. These books, invoked by NatCons throughout my days in Washington, worked like a backdoor through which they could smuggle materialism into their program. Other phrases that I did not associate with conservatives were brought out like worn old pieces of family furniture, each brokered by a trustworthy conservative middleman. The ruling class was often cited at the Ritz, or, just as commonly, the ruling class, as Angela Codevilla calls it, a reference to the intelligence analyst, conservative professor, and writing for the Claremont Review of Books, Institution of Mass Destruction. Burnham's chief idea, adopted by Yarvin, was that the American elite had become a managerial class that acted as guardians over institutions, the academy, and the professions. They were not aristocrats, nor were they capitalist tycoons, but rather an office-bound species that merely understood the techniques of governance and, as a class, no longer bothered with questions of their own legitimacy. Burnham had counseled a kind of equanimity in the face of this technocratic elite. The best you could do was pit elites against one another in order to create space for concessionary freedoms. But Yarvin was more intent on destroying it. He believed that the United States was simply a more advanced form of totalitarianism than China. It had decentralized its despotism, spread it among different sectors, but the totalitarian imprint was still there. Americans who watched Fox News were captive to one narrative, and those who watched MSNBC were captive to another. But for Yarvin, I want to stop this because this is the other thing. There's this real propensity on the right and with chuds to tell you that you are like a slave to certain news outlets or things like that. And that's so funny because it is so actually not the case. And I find it a very funny argument. And I notice it's popping up here too. They really go right to that thing where, oh, you just buy everything, when in fact, they're the ones that are buying things on face value, hence the disinformation. Because if disinformation were looked into, it would be seen for what it is, which is disinformation. So that proves to me that people who accept disinformation aren't actually doing the work to look into it. So in essence, you're doing the same behavior you're accusing me of, which is actually just believing everything that someone tells you. And I don't believe everything anyone tells me. I read about it. So really, you're the drama. Which is, again, why I know I'm superior to you. So it doesn't really matter, chuds, what you think. I know I'm always going to be smarter than you and more empathic. So it doesn't really matter what you think because you've proved to me already that you don't think. So, sorry, somebody has to tell you. But for Yarvin, the trouble was that the original mythology of American democracy was breaking down. One could keep believing in it for only so long, just as it has required Herculean myopia to continue to believe in third world liberation long after its expiration date. Did anyone really still believe in the American post-war innocence? Yarvin played at drawing the stench of firebombing of Dresden into his nostrils. Did anyone still believe that liberal elites wanted equality in education? And so Yarvin had identified a groaning gap in the conference. It'll be interesting to see what kind of elite they come up with, he said. Day 2. Oh, wow. God's used imperfect people throughout history. King David wasn't perfect. Saul wasn't perfect. Solomon wasn't perfect. And I actually gave the president a little one-pager on those Old Testament kings. I said, Mr. President, I know there are people that say, you said you were the chosen one. And I said, you were. Rick Perry. The second day of the National Conservatism Conference was a day of myth maintenance. The men of God were gearing up. Peter Thiel had worried that the American right was still in thrall to the myth of American exceptionalism, when what was needed was the opposite. More comparisons of America with other countries to see where it fell short. More competition fueled by the intimation that we might not be special at all. Yarvin had wondered late into the night where the new myths could come from. The Silicon Valley contingent, Promethean in outlook, did not have much time for God. It was the moment for a Christian nationalist to ascend the mount. They were hardly endangered. Over the summer, Hungary's Viktor Orban had given a speech in a small Romanian village proclaiming the blooming of a re-Christianized Europe. R.R. Rusty Reno, another conference organizer and the editor of the ecumenical Catholic-inflected journal First Things, was in the strange position of having to reconcile nationalism and Christianity all over again for a 21st century audience. He took to the task with a weary sense of duty, the creep of melancholy in his voice, as he bore his burden in plain sight of his congregants. The anti-elite populist sentiments that are abroad at the moment, Reno told us, are best understood as expressions of the American love for self-government. Faced with a liberal empire overseen by a technocratic elite, the American people have become truculent. This is true on the left and on the right. Count me as no fan of socialism, but I interpret that its rhetorical return in the Democratic Party as a sign that Democratic voters want to recover their political agency. I dread the triumph of these loveless visions of our political future, for they mean the end of the democratic age and its supersession by a managerial therapeutic empire run by central bankers and diversity consultants. God, I hate these people. God, I hate these people. I hate them. I hate them. And I will probably be arrested for throat punching one of them if I ever see them in public. I apologize in advance. God, the fucking gall of people to think that they're smarter than humanity, that they're smarter than anybody, just makes me so motherfucking sick. It's just like the selfish people I encountered this morning. Everything is about them. Everything is about them. Imagine walking through your life thinking every motherfucking thing is about you. I can't. For Reno, the particularities of the nation were not only reconcilable with Christianity, they furthered its cause. Scripture was unmistakable. Scripture written by a bunch of fucking men. If anyone does not provide for his own people, and especially his own family, he has disowned his faith, and it is worse than an infidel. You know what? I got another one for you, thanks to Max Flower. Kings 18 to whatever, or 9 to 18, or whatever it is. Then I hope everybody fucking dies. I hope all these motherfuckers die. I really do. I just can't wait. I can't wait for them all to die. The nation was no false idol for Reno. God in his benevolence had provided it as a further remedy for our sinful self-regard. Ugh, I hate religion. Religion is the sickness in this country. Religion is a sickness. It's just a sickness. Makes me ill. Catholics could excuse passionate love of your mate if it brought you closer to God. The nation was a much higher version of that. It would be a twisted act to try not to take patriotic love away from our fellow citizens. Many of our fellow Americans have made a mess of their lives in various ways, and they haven't accomplished very much, unlike many of us in the room. And that, my friends, is it. They think they're fucking special. That is the theme. They think they're fucking special, and they're not. They're actually less than special. I think they should all go to Mars and, blow up. It's not enough that we take away the functional family life. We even have to take away their own citizenship or their love of their own citizenship. Reno was proffering a peculiar notion of worldly success, and one could sense some self-flattery working within him, but elsewhere his speech took a wilder turn. There is a potential for a great deal of mischief if we fuse church with nation. Oh my God. There are bishops in the Catholic Church in the United States and Europe and Protestant pastors who judge prudent restrictions on immigration to be violations of biblical ideals of universal welcome and universal hospitality, but these ideals apply to the people of God, to the church, not to the United States of America. What was meant by this? That border crossing was permissible for people in their capacity as Christians, but not in their capacity as Mexicans? I had a vision of El Paso, of trucks of Mexican Christians arriving at a megachurch. Old white Texan gentlemen help with the elderly Mexican gentlewomen down the stairs, leading them arm in arm into the church where in booming English with Spanish subtitles, a minister preaches the bounty of Christian union, and baptisms are performed on small Mexican babies. At the tea and biscuit session after the service, one of the elderly Texans notices a bulge under the loose clothing of a young Mexican woman. Get him out of here. The bonds of Christian fellowship having been observed, it is now time to sound the alarm of national solidarity. The visiting worshippers are dispatched in black vans with papered over windows to the deepest reaches of the Yucatan. Next time we'll do the service over Skype. That will be better for everyone, says the minister, hat in his hands. No need to have them on the soil when we already coexist on a spiritual plane. What? What? I'm so confused. While it had fallen to Reno to square Christian universalism with national particularism, Yoram Hazony had made bolder claims for his faith, launching out against 100 years of historiography. Hazony claimed that no, nationalism was not about forgetting things in common or sharing a mistaken view of the past. It was about keeping a covenant with God. For Hazony, founder of the Princeton Tory, a one-time confidant of Netanyahu and chief Talmudist of the National Conservatism, nationalism began with the Hebrews. Donald Trump might speak in slogans, but he was also speaking the Torah. The Hebrew God, quote, doesn't say go out and conquer all the nations of the world. He says, you stay behind your border. You can have this patch of land for your people and it will become great. Other peoples can do the same on their patches. And so, after a break of a few thousand years, the Dutch, the English, and finally Americans all copied the original. Hazony's lecture stuck to the wagon ruts of a traditional nationalist thought. There had been Jewish nationalists, Zionists after all, going back to the 19th century. Earlier, the American founders and their English forerunners had borrowed the ideas of a chosen state from Jewish thinkers. The trouble was not merely that Hazony swept under the carpet all the difficulties of actually existing nationalism. Where does it begin? Where does it end? Who is in and who is out? But that he was sacralizing a political compromise as a God-directed project. With the borders sacred and the exact mixture of people within them sacred, considerable subterfuge and violence were now justifiable in defending the frozen state of this order. It would have been meet and right for such somber tones to be followed by organ music. Instead, after a coffee break, there came National Conservatism's long-awaited jester. You gotta love Tucker, as Stanford undergraduate one had put it. Tucker Carlson was the leading propagandist of the cause. He had his own show on Fox News. He did daily battle with the enemy. And not only battle, Tucker even extracted what he liked from the Jacobin magazine Left, twisted it around, and sold it at a discount to his followers. He hated liberals, but he resented the left for leaving his hypocrisy flagrantly exposed. And so he seesawed between this hatred and this resentment. In the resentment, there was kind of a respect. In the hatred, there was also mirthful righteousness.
I actually have contact with the people the rest of us complain about. He began his speech.
And lo, it was true. Not only did he have his makeup done by liberals and communists 5 days a week, but nearly everyone in the media wanted to stop him. They didn't succeed because even within the narrow constraints of monopoly capitalism, Tucker, like a Christian among the Romans, was able to get the word out, and his virtuous flock heeded the call. The NatCons were in awe of the great deflection service Tucker provided for the American ruling class, identifying actual material grievances and laboriously laundering them into petty insecurities familiar from the 90s culture wars. Tucker preached the national conservatism gospel without quite understanding it. The organizers believed he contained a wisdom he himself did not fully recognize, like a fool in Shakespeare. His demeanor was bouncy and cheerful. The vibe was part Groton lacrosse cheerleader, part finance frat boy. His face was ruddied from his summer in Maine, where he'd been communing with his ethnos. His pace was a bit stop and start at the beginning. He'd just given up nicotine, but his signature tie was there. The planted joke, followed by the waterfall, throw back the head, court of Versailles laugh. He was like a man who looked down his mouth, amazed that it had been transformed into a giant conveyor belt dispensing perfect modules of common sense. His trust in his subjective experience was immense. Tucker had some tough news for the faithful. Big Business Hates Your Family was the title of his talk. Monopoly capitalism was real. The main threat to your ability to live your life as you choose does not come from the government, but comes from the private sector, Tucker said. I was trained from the youngest age, from a pup, to believe that the threats of liberty came from government. And he was part of the Swanson frozen food family fortune. So he was a trust fund baby. Okay? And so it really took a huge amount of evidence wagging right in my face, not being the brightest person in D.C., to realize that in 2019 the threats come primarily from companies, not from the federal government. He could give examples. All new Oreos have the label, "What's your pronoun?" A large American company is committing a pretty brazen act of propaganda aimed at your kids. And the message is that the binary gender scheme, which we were taught in biology class in 7th grade, is no longer operative. In fighting this, the libertarians would be worse than useless. Their response was, yeah, well, if you don't like it, start your own Oreo company. But that's not really an operative option in a world of monopoly power. You can't create your own Google. You have more power vested in fewer hands than at any time in American history. And that itself is ominous and should make all of us cast aside any thread of ideology or theology or whatever. Just look at it straight in the face. Are you comfortable with that? You shouldn't be. Of course you're not. They can make whole ideas disappear. And there's some evidence that they're working to do that. So this is really interesting too, right? This is like there's a schism inside the conservative movement where what I'm hearing too from a lot of incels is more about, oh, it's the corporations. Yeah, the corporations are terrible. Well, I don't know if they know who runs the corporations, but they're their buddies. I love that you guys are still talking about gardening. Thank you. I hope this is like at least an interesting backdrop. I just wanted to make sure everybody was okay, and you guys are doing just fine. I don't ever need to worry about you guys. You always have it handled. Okay, let's see. For Tucker, dump was a galactic tear in the universe, setting the terms of a new reality. Anything was possible. If the Loch Ness Monster exists, what about the Yeti? Versailles laughter. The Trump election spurred me in a kind of reassessment of UFOs. I'm serious. And it turns out they're like real. Laughter again. Tucker riled his audience a bit when he exposed his knowledge of the American left. He found bits to admire in Warren's economic patriotism, and as long as the left kept quiet about the minorities and the migrants, and some of them were promising candidates for left-right nationalist pact. For this was Tucker's great insight. The social democratic left was essentially right about economics. It would be good to nationalize social media. It would be good to boost American wages. The trouble with the left was that it wanted to do these things on behalf of an amorphous citizenry with no sense of boundaries for where American boundaries should stop. We already knew who Americans were, Tucker implied. The definition was settled. Americans were people who watched and believed Tucker Carlson. It did all raise a question. What if Dump had dialed down the white nationalism after taking the White House, instead of betraying nearly every word of his campaign rhetoric of economic populism, had ruthlessly enacted populist policies, passing gargantuan infrastructure bills, shredding NAFTA instead of remodeling it, giving a tax cut to the lower middle class instead of the rich, and conspiring to raise the wages of American workers? It doesn't take much to imagine how that would play against a Democratic challenger with a McKinsey or Harvard Law School imprinted on his or her forehead. There seemed to be two futures for Trumpism as a distinctive strain of populism. One in which the last reserves of white identity politics were mined until the cave collapsed, and one in which the coalition was expanded to include working Americans, enlisting blacks and Hispanics and Asians in the cause of conquering the condescending citadels of Wokistan. Was it predestined that Dump would choose the former? Steve Bannon was already audience testing Trumpism 2.0, wrong-footing the crowd at the Oxford Union with complaints about the lack of black technicians in Silicon Valley. Why couldn't Trumpism go this direction in reality? The shrewdest move for the NatCons surely would have been to attract as many non-whites as possible to the Ritz and strike fear into the hearts of the globalists with a multiracial populist carnival. a new post-dump pan-ethnic coalition that would someday consider it quaint that it had once needed to begin conferences with the profession. We are not actually racist. For the rest of the afternoon, I wandered into talks and panels and discussions and cocktail chatter. On the floor, I saw Daniel Pipes, the old right-winger and son of the historian of the Russian Revolution, Richard Pipes. I think in the end my father was a social democrat, Pipes confessed to me in the tone of coming to terms with one's father having served in the Waffen-SS. He was scowly and solemn and appeared like an Orthodox priest who had misplaced his thurible. He spent the afternoon on a panel defending Eastern European right-wing movements as civilizationist paladins, regarding their anti-Semitism more as growing pains than as an inherent feature of their ideology. Among the other revelers in infamy was Amy Wax. Accompanying the Dork Night, I entered her talk in a small conference room, which she opened with a defense of Enoch Powell, a prophet without honor in the last century. Garvin was getting giddy off of Wax's denunciation of the magic dirt idea, which purports that immigrants are transformed by the U.S. soil into better people. Oh my God, she's going for it. She's talking about magic dirt. You know Powell was a brigadier in the army, right? Dude was super fucking tough. Then Wax descended into a diatribe calling out immigrants as littering noise polluters who did not meet the conditions of our society, in her own way repeating, in degraded English, the kind of view Henry James had once given voice to in a description of the Jewish ghetto of the Lower East Side. Quote, some vast sallow aquarium in which innumerable fish of overdeveloped proboscis were to bump together forever amid heaped soils of the sea. Wax presented more than just a PR problem for the NatCons. In her encomium to the Berkshires and other clean white places in America where she likes to spend time, she exposed one of the contradictions of the NatCons, setting in their anti-elitist rhetoric against their elitist behavior. Of the speakers at the conference, it was only the Notre Dame professor Patrick Deneen who argued with some cogency that the NatCons needed to foster new, local mini-aristocracies that would both keep the sea of conservatism small and not court big government all over again, as some of the NatCons clamoring for an industrial policy seemed to want. Awkwardly for Deneen's reputation, but less awkwardly for his bank account, Obama had read and liked his book, Why Liberalism Failed. In the bar, the Dork Night and I found a table of older conservatives. There was Daniel Oliver, the one-time executive editor of National Review, and a friend of Buckley and Burnham. We ordered a round of gin and tonics. The Dork Night wanted to know about Burnham. The most charming man, said Oliver. The American Revolution was the topic on the table. You know, when the Queen of England came for the bicentennial to Boston, my great-uncle received her, since he was descended from the last line of Tory governors. Garvin launched into his loyalist account of the American Revolution. He was incensed that the Whig interpretation had infected all of the historiography. It's so sad that people believe that America won the war militarily, or that if the British had just conciliated more, they could have kept the colonies. I mean, the Whigs in England wanted to lose. They sent General Howe, a total radical, to fight the war. That's like sending Bill Ayers to lead the response to the Tet Offensive. We discussed the coming attractions of the conference. I'm thinking of organizing a boycott of John Bolton, joked William Ruger, the vice president for research at the Charles Koch Institute. Bolton was a persona not very grata among the NatCons. Recently anointed national security advisor, he was the sort of old guard Republican loyalist that many people at the conference loathed. Bolton just loves war too much, said Ruger. Never saw a war he didn't like. How are you feeling now, NatCons? In the corner of the Ritz bar, I saw Senate Jennifer Schussler of the New York Times. Trump was firing out tweets against Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, telling them to go back to their countries. The media sphere was saturated with outrage and glee. Schussler was asking conference participants about the tweets, but no one was taking the bait. The NatCons treated her like a poor, uninitiated innocent. They performed looks of pity when she asked about the administration's actual record. Pushed on the Trump question, Hazoni gave a supercilious smile that seemed to say, if you have to ask about tweets, you're never going to be ready for conversion. In the evening, there was a floor debate that pitted a representative for the pure free market creed against the NatCon mutation. Richard Reinsch, a Hale Indianan who worked for the Liberty Fund, which subsidizes the reprinting of Frederick Hayes's works, faced off against Orrin Cass, a young policy wonk from the Manhattan Institute. The question at hand, should America adopt an industrial policy? Reinsch was perfectly orthodox in his defense of the status quo. In real terms, growth in manufacturing has kept up with the growth of the economy over the previous 70 years, he told the ballroom. Its declining employment share was the result of increased productivity. In 1980, 10 man-hours to make a ton of steel, Reinsch said. In 2015, 2 man-hours. Even if manufacturing wages are on average higher than the service sector wages, it doesn't follow that tariffs will make more jobs that pay at the current manufacturing wage. The implication was politically clear. Good luck trying to wean American workers off cheap products at Walmart. Orrin Cass wanted to do something close to that. We see slowing productivity growth, he said. We see slow to non-existent wage growth. A male with a high school degree in 1970 could have supported a family of 4 at more than twice the poverty line. In 2016, he's only about 35% above it. Libertarians were trying to tie the government's hands too much, which was preventing U.S. participation in the worldwide competition of each nation protecting its own workers. You can have free trade or you can have free markets, but you can't have both, said Cass, to the audience's delight. In support of Cass, further speeches came from the floor. A voice from the South, J.D. Vance's, made a searing appeal in emotional tones. The author of Hillbilly Elegy, Vance was the bard of the NatCons, the most gifted lyricist of Trumpism. He was from Appalachia and had climbed his way into the elite hive of Yale Law School. I'm a venture capitalist, he said. If you're in the peninsula, right off the highway in 101, there's an exit called Willow Road. Oh, fucking hell. And on Willow Road, you'll find the Facebook headquarters. And at Facebook, there are neuroscientists currently being paid a lot of money, quite literally, to addict our children to their applications. And not far from the Facebook headquarters, there are neuroscientists working on how to cure dementia and how to cure some of the most intractable diseases that affect our society. The people who are working at Facebook addicting our children to their applications make much more money than the people who are attempting to cure our society of its worst diseases. And I think the question about whether we should have an industrial policy ultimately reduces to the question of, do you think our politics should have an answer about whether it is more valuable to cure our grandchildren than to addict them to terrible applications? And I think the answer is obviously yes. I don't know. Does he think that now? There was mighty applause. Vance was followed by many Vances. A young Republican from Texas spoke of the loss he feels in the west of his state, covered, he said, in these beautiful storefronts that are empty. If Texas Republicans did not purge themselves of neoliberal tendencies, they'd eventually lose the state to Democrats, who were already refining the rhetoric of economic populism. A floor vote was taken, and Cass's side easily won. It was 99 in favor of a national industrial policy, 51 against. In the hot dark, walking back to my hotel, I nodded to Julius Krein, the 33-year-old editor of American Affairs, the NatCon House Journal. He was among the more serious of the instant intellectuals whom Dump's political arrival had spewed forth. Michael Anton. We haven't read about him yet, but we have him on our list, don't we? The most well-known Trumpist intellectual, that's not real, was a caricature of academic Straussianism by comparison. A man who rambled about Xenophon and whose speech at the NatCon conference sounded like a preface to a preface of a preface to a commentary on a classical text. No, with his suit, neatly parted hair, and his flat Midwestern vowels, Krein appeared to be like a whiz kid from the Kennedy administration. But in his style of argument, he was the closest thing that the NatCons had to a re-embodied James Burnham. Like Burnham, Krein believed that both the left and the right had misidentified the radical agent in recent American history. It was not the devastated working class, as the left believed, which could barely find its feet politically, nor was it the 401k holding American masses who kept the faith on market fundamentalism more than socialist curious elites. For Krein, the war to win was within the elite. It was a battle. It was a question of who would exploit the amour propre. I don't know how to say that. Of the professional managerial class and enlist it in a battle against the top 1% or top 0.1%. Up until this point, the billionaire class had operated in near-perfect conditions with a Democratic Party that swooned over them and a Republican Party that was so conveniently repulsive to the top 10% that it drew their energy away from revolutionary rumbles. Much as the Bernie Sanders strategist wondered about how many Warrenites they could attract to socialism before she embarked on an inevitable voyage back to the center, so Krein and his cadre wanted to make national conservatism a viable alternative for a new, more politically responsible elite that would not shy away from a war with globalists. That's James Burnham. Okay, how long does this go? I think it's only 3 days. Okay, we're going to get through it. When men of rank sacrifice all ideas of dignity to an ambition without a distinct object and work with low instruments and for low ends, the whole composition becomes low and base. Oh, Edmund Burke. Bah. Wait, I'm going to check in with chat before we start this. I think it's a final section. Just saw a Chiron, that razor blade sore throat. CD, what COVID variant in US? Oh, wow. No, thank you. I used to respond to people telling Rashida Tlaib to go back to where she was born, saying Detroit. Hey, thank you, Gal. Good morning, Gal. No, not Gavin Wax. It's a lady Wax. I don't remember her name. Oh, like bad arthritis these days. I can't sit for long like that. Oh, oh, okay. I'm just making sure I haven't missed anything really, really big. Okay. Interesting. Interesting related. I'm not sure. So, same friends. Totally same friends. This is talking about a NatCon conference, but I don't know what date the conference was. This is so embarrassing, but we're going to find out. John Bolton, this must have been early before the administration, before 2024. John Bolton arrived to a room of skeptics, but there was no walkout. Civility persisted in the ballroom of the Ritz. In the face of at least a few holdout enemies and a press corps visibly uncomfortable in his presence, Bolton showed that he was, after all, a professional operator. Here was a man who in law school had stayed up to the wee hours converting Clarence Thomas to conservatism, or so the rumor went. Oh, John Bolton? I don't think so. Are you kidding me? I've never heard that. Well, Gavin Wax definitely would be part of this. Slips out quietly. Bye, Lolo. Wait, who's saying bye? Bye, Neil. See you later, alligator. Having a movie tonight, so if you stop by the Discord, there'll be another movie tonight. Bonsoir. Bonjour. One audience member tried to bait Bolton with a question about immigration in Europe. Quote, you're worried about European birth levels? No, you shouldn't be worried about European birth levels, because the minute that words come out of your mouth, you should really reflect on who you are as a person. But Bolton, sensing a trap, resisted this. He did not want to tell Europeans how many children they should have, nor Africans either. He wasn't going to perform any symbolic allegiance to Trumpist themes. Instead, he bore down on the points he wanted to make to an audience that viewed him as oil in the water of Trump's foreign policy. Venezuela might have to be occupied by the United States. Why? Well, it was already occupied by the Cubans. If the 20,000 or more Cubans in Venezuela left tomorrow, the Maduro government would fall by midnight. NATO nations needed to pay their fair share, just as Obama had said, though Trump had said it more forcefully. There was more continuity between the two administrations than the NatCons might like to acknowledge. Bolton was allergic to pandering and made no attempt to hide his addiction to American global supremacy and wars of choice. He was honest about his wish never to get clean. In the coming months, the irony of Trump's militarism would exceed the media's capacity to comprehend it. Bolton, like James Mattis before him, was fired or resigned in view of what he thought was an unacceptable troop withdrawal that Trump had committed to but did not actually undertake. In fact, Trump had doubled down on nearly every military theater in the United States had troops. Where the United States had troops. At the back of the ballroom, I spotted Keith Gesson, jotting down notes on Bolton's remarks. It was strange to see him there, a literary figure of major standing in Brooklyn, a co-founder of the N+1, the most successful leftist magazine of his generation. There was nothing doctrinaire about him. He was curious about the proceedings around him and ready to score the performances. It's impressive how Bolton just won't let them get to him. He's too experienced, he said. Some of these guys seem reasonable enough. J.D. Vance's stuff about supporting working families, I mean, it's not exactly bad what he's saying. I bet you if you asked Mr. Gesson now, he would have a different feeling. Gesson was from Russian intelligentsia stock. When he read histories of the revolution, he rooted for the Mensheviks who lost every time. He had a natural affinity for the underdog, but he was put off by the NatCon's pretensions, by their absurd miming of learnedness, and by their "you must break eggs" justifications of the Trump approach. I must say that it remains one of the chief regrets of the time I spent in Washington, D.C. this summer, he would later write, that I shook Michael Anton's hand. There were a few people at the National Conservatism Conference of whom it was whispered, future president right there. It had been said of J.D. Vance, who managed to conjure a world that was almost palatable to liberals. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not anymore. And the thing is that people knew who he was a long time ago. So why this Gessen guy didn't know who he was a long time ago gives me very little confidence in the intelligentsia. Okay? This is why I disdain intelligentsia. Because I find that their heads are so fucking far up their asses and they're so busy breathing in the smoke that everybody blows up their face that I am disgusted. I'm disgusted. Meanwhile, people die. And these guys are just worried about if they're going to get tenure. And I fucking hate them. So how you feeling now, Gessen? Fucking dick. Oh my God. It had been said of Tucker Carlson that he would be even better than Trump as a White House personality, but it was Josh Hawley, aka Tom Hawley, Josh Cotton, over whom the crown most plausibly hovered. He was 39 years old, the youngest man in the Senate, a former clerk for Justice John Roberts on the Supreme Court, and biographer, when in his 20s, of Teddy Roosevelt. Hawley was a scholar warrior out of NatCon heaven. I wonder if he is now. In presentation and style, he reminded me of the young Austrian leader Sebastian Kurz, who had made his name as the shiny new bridge to the authoritarians in Eastern Europe, but who was still suave enough to appeal to Corinthian grandmothers. I took my seat. This is why I don't like magazines like Harper's Bazaar and New Yorker and all this shit, because this just fucking pisses me off. I'm sorry. Okay, it's just like, I'm writing a really clever piece about the destruction of people's lives. Oh, but I'm so clever. I'm so clever. Look at my big words. I have a real problem with that. I think I'm a little bit of a I don't like elite either. How about that? I don't like oh, fuck it. I'm not going to get into it cuz I'm just going to get myself in trouble. I took my seat at the dinner for Holly. A recent convert to Mormonism was bad-mouthing the Supreme Court justices. Dump had to do better. You really don't like Kavanaugh? I asked her. No, I mean Gorsuch. Have you read his decisions on Indians? He wants to give it all back to the Indians. Insidious rulings. I don't understand people. Another law clerk was speculating about Ginsburg's physical health. Amy Wax, that's who it was, Amy Wax. Amy Wax is a doctor, and she says that Ginsburg, even with all her exercise, will still be dead within 2 years, so it's looking good. The Dork Knight was trying to convince the table that the most important book to understand at the moment was The Final Pagan Generation by Edward J. Watts, which is about how the last pagans in the Roman Empire had managed their lives in the upsurge of Christianity, and how quickly their millennia-old culture had been pulverized by a small cadre of young, zealous Christian elite. This was the Dork Knight's persistent worry. Who were the true believers at the conference, and who were the opportunists? Roosevelt could be an opportunist, Hawley writes in his biography of Teddy, but he was no crass intellectual opportunist. But what was Hawley? He came onto the stage in a more powerful thrust than had anyone at the conference so far, and his speech would be a summa of all that had come before. Like Thiel, he wanted to go to war on big tech, and he had introduced bills that showed he was serious. Like Patrick Deneen, he was worried about how to create communities led by Aristopopulists. Like Tucker, he was fast on his feet and projected in smiley confidence. But he could also compete with Hazoni's boyish rocking back and forth between solemnity and mischief. The great divide of our time is not between Trump supporters and Trump opponents, Hawley intoned in a kind of grand old man oratory that seemed to conjure its own pulpit, or between suburban voters and rural ones, or between red America and blue America. No, the great divide of our time is between the political agenda of the leadership elite and the great and broad middle of our society. But see, the funny part is, Josh Cotton, is that you're not representing. You think you're representing the great and broad middle of our society, but you're not. But you're not. We must recover and renew the dream of the Republic. He was getting more Roman every minute. Then he rounded on his enemy. Call it the cosmopolitan consensus. On economics, this consensus favors globalization, closer and closer economic union, more immigration, more movement of capital, more trade on whatever terms. The boundaries between America and the rest of the world should fade and eventually vanish. The goal is to build a global consumer economy, one that will provide an endless supply of cheap goods, and most of them made with cheap labor overseas but funded by American dollars. According to the cosmopolitan consensus, globalization was a moral imperative. The elites distrusted patriotism and the common culture that was left to us by our forebears. What's more, they were happy to say as much for the record. A roll call of enemies of the people followed. MIT's Richard Sennett had denounced the evil of shared national identity. According to Martha Nussbaum, it was morally dangerous to teach students that they are, above all, citizens of the United States. You would have never known from Holly's speech that there are cosmopolitans working at Starbucks and people who believe in socialism riding bikes for Grubhub. Yet it was still extraordinary to listen to the feat of rhetoric, a conservative slipping seamlessly back and forth between class-based attacks and cultural tirades, bashing the elite on class grounds, claiming again, as in the days of TR and of Reagan, that Republicans were on the side of the common man against a sequestered elite that had transformed the ivory tower into a great turret of the renewed culture war. My table was smitten with Holly's embroideries. Then Holly dropped into the kind of national unity speech that Obama used to do in his sleep. For in the heart of our country, America's strength has not... Wait, no.
For in the heart of our country, American strength has not failed. The kind of people who built this nation are still here, waking early and working late, manning the fire department, coaching the Little League, helping the neighbor who just lost a spouse, donating their gas money to a needy family halfway around the world.
And then the theme did actually become Roman. I wonder if you remember the story of Horatius at the bridge, Holly said. It happened in the early days of the Roman Republic, sometime around 500 BC. The Etruscan army, as the story goes, marched on to Rome to invade, and the Roman defenses were caught off guard. Eventually, the fighting coalesced. I got lost. Coalesced around a bridge leading to the Tiber River, across the Tiber into the city. All was chaos. The Roman generals, surprised and unsure, were falling back. The city seemed in great peril. But a junior officer named Horatius thought otherwise. He saw that if a Roman army could simply hold the bridge long enough for the city to reset its defenses, the Republic could be saved. So, as the senior officers retreated, he advanced. Macaulay tells us that as he charged to the front line, Horatius glanced over his shoulder to the Roman hills and caught a glimpse of his own home there, and knew it was worth defending. And so he took his stand. We know with the benefit of history that the Roman Republic was still then quite young. Its most glorious days were still ahead, but Horatio didn't and couldn't know that just as he took up his position, he only knew that to every man upon this earth death cometh soon or late, and how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? Now we too need courage in our nation's moment of need. Now we too need bravery born of love for the place we call home. For our republic is yet young, and our greatest days yet unwritten. If we stand, we'll stand. So let us stand together. Let us stand for love of country and hearth and home. Let us stand with the conviction of Horatius. For in yon straight path 1,000 may well be stopped by 3. Now who will stand on either hand and keep the bridge with me? There once was a man from Nantucket who said, I put my dick in a bucket. He filled it with water and scratched it on the way out and said, oh my God, just fuck it. I don't know. Related. Oh. When Holly had finished, everyone in the Ritz ballroom stood up. We were unified and collected. At my table, there was still the lingering question of whether Holly was an ideological freeloader or the real deal. The truth was that it was the wrong question. For Trump was doing tricky ideological lifting that went all but unappreciated by the NatCons. He fed the richest in society in the currency they prefer, dollars, and fed his fans lower down with a temporarily effective substitute, recognition. It takes a certain talent to keep so much in the air. The Trumpists will survive at the end of Trump, but they will also inherit Trump's circus act. The dimmer NatCons aspire to sustain the performance. The more earnest want to slip in an actual popular agenda into the mix. But when the time is ripe, the grand old party will treat Trumpian idealism like any debt-ridden entity, selling it for what they can once they've stripped it of its parts. I actually don't think this guy's right. I really want to know what date this was. Damn it. Why did I miss that? I don't think this guy's right. I don't know what year this was. Thomas Meany. When the fuck was this written? 2020. This was written in February of 2020. I don't think he's right. Because it's not Trumpism. Did he miss the fact that Peter Thiel was buying politicians? Like, I feel like this is a complete miss on who J.D. Vance was, what Thiel's involvement with Trumpism actually is. I think that was terrible. that was not clear. Sorry, not the best article. Fuck you, Harper's. I should have known. Oh well. Can't. Not everything's a winner. My Fiat drive up the thumb toward Glenny freaked me out. It was not the norm to see dead deer on shoulders. Oh yeah, I know, it's very shocking. Now that's a $10,000 worth table worth the money. Oh, that's good. That's better. Uh-oh. Gal said, yeah, some people sound like they're doing a word search. Right, Josh? Give me a break. I'd rather hear, that was terrible. I'm so sorry. You know, like, it's just sometimes things are terrible. And that's one of them. Oh my God. Per Aspera policy has a little digital footprint outside of its social media and contributions, but was listed as a sponsor of the National Conservatism Conference in October 2021. Thiel keynoted and was a top-tier sponsor with a 50,000 per Aspera policy and was second highest tier with 10,000. Wow. Well, there you go. This was in 2020. These are my friends, folks. Let me tell you a story about my best friends. They're the smartest motherfuckers on the internet and have called the shit. February 2022, gal post on the NatCon and Peter Thiel's involvement with it. And yeah, I'm getting really tired of us knowing all the things, all of us, and not being able to change it. I can't. All right. Final thing this morning, June 17th article from Wired. Far-right appeal to heaven flag flown above government agency in D.C. The appeal to heaven flag, a popular symbol for white Christian nationalists that was waved by January 6 rioters, was and Alito's wife and Supreme Court Justices Holmes. This flag is pretty all over the place. Yeah. Oh wait, Oren had a summary. Hold on. Let me see this. They can have the flowery writing about them, but they're still just greedy assholes who don't care about people who aren't at the right dinner parties. Yeah, I just need like I fucking need. Oh, and Mike Johnson's office. That's right. It's flying. It's posted outside of there. I hate arthritis. Okay. I'm gonna have to go smoke a bunch of weed to get rid of this pain. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to read this. This came out a couple days ago. Because the thing about this is that this is not like a creep anymore. This is like a complete ramming your truck through the china shop windows. That's what it is, right? Like fucking pushing through. Oh, really, Meowing Star? I'm so sorry, babe. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. It's a fucked up condition. I'll tell you that right now. It really frustrates me. I forgot about that one, gal. There's so much nonsense. I mean, the thing about it is like this is all. It's just barreling towards us, and all the things that we thought were going to happen, frankly, are happening, and then other things are happening that I'm like, well, I didn't think this was going to happen. I got to figure out when I'm going to get out in the street more. Street more. Street more. And I'm going to tell you right now, this whole push on protesting down here in Los Angeles, which I'm sure is coming to other cities soon, the way that they're going to push around people who are actually protesting and standing up is not. It is going to get far worse, and it's already at levels where I go, wow, what is this? Like, what is this police brutality? Like, are we? This is that we're here. We're here again. Not that we never weren't there, but you know what I mean. Like, or I hope you know what I mean. Like, this is. They're not being quiet about what they want to oppress. And at least in the past, sometimes they were a little quiet about it, which wasn't any better because people were still oppressed. All right. This is again from Wired. It's from this week. When is it? When was this date? Uh-oh, I don't even know. June 17th. That's the appeal to heaven flag, by the way. A controversial appeal to heaven flag that has recently become associated with the Stop the Steal movement and Christian nationalism was flown above the Small Business Administration agency last week in Washington. On June 11, Kelly Loeffler, loser, the former senator from Georgia and current administrator of the SBA, participated in a ceremony where a new flag of the United States was raised over the agency's headquarters. Just beneath that flag, on what appeared to be the same halyard, was an appeal to heaven flag. Sources tell Wired that the appeal to heaven flag was raised for less than a day. Oops. Though the flag's roots date to the Revolutionary War, in recent years it has become a popular symbol for the far right. The appeal to heaven flag was waved by January 6 rioters at the Capitol in 2021 and has become associated with President Trump's supporters who deny the outcome of the 2020 election. The flag has also been linked to Christian nationalists who believe that the U.S. should be a Christian nation rather than a secular one. That the appeal to heaven flag is being flown on a government building alongside the American flag should be shocking to anyone who doesn't wish to live in a theocracy, said John Lewis, a research fellow at the Program on Extremism at George Washington University. The contemporary usage of the appeal to heaven flag is synonymous with Christian nationalism, full stop. Those who carried the appeal to heaven flag on the Capitol on January 6 did so because they truly believed that they had the opportunity to inject Christian fundamentalism into the very foundation of our democracy. And the image of the same flag on the SBA will give them ample evidence that they succeeded, Lewis adds. Other Republicans have previously shared their support for the appeal to heaven flag. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has displayed the flag outside of his office, and the flag was controversially flown outside of Associate Justice of the Supreme Court Samuel Alito's vacation home in New Jersey. In an interview with the Associated Press, Johnson said that he didn't know that the flag was associated with election deniers. I don't know what money is. In a letter to lawmakers last year, Alito said the same thing. Alito also came under fire for the flying of an upside-down American flag at his home in Virginia. An upside-down flag is a distress signal that has in recent years become associated with right-wing protesters, but we've just taken it back on the left, so go fuck yourselves. Wired, why don't you mention that? In a June 11 post on her X account, Loeffler wrote, "Today, at SBA's Flag Day ceremony, we proudly raised a new American-made flag over our headquarters in Washington. It is a privilege to serve under its stars and stripes. On behalf of the 34 million small businesses who represent the best of America, which I'm going to tell them to go fuck themselves because tariffs and reshoring and all of that are going to ruin them. Okay, thank you. The post, which includes a photograph of the Appeal to Heaven flag and photographs of Loeffler and others seemingly looking up at both flags, is still up. It's unclear who was responsible for flying the controversial flag. One SBA staffer who spoke to Wired on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak to the press said that they saw the flag while leaving the office that day and it appeared to have been taken down by the next morning. It was pretty jarring to walk out of work and see that flag on the building, and it's frustrating because it makes it seem like the agency as a whole supports what it has come to stand for, when that's just not true, they said. We're proud to do work that supports, or at least is supposed to support, all Americans. The decision to raise that flag isn't one that reflects the views of everyone at SBA. I think it would have concerned more people if they knew what the flag was associated with, says a second SBA staffer who also asked to remain anonymous of the Appeal to Heaven flag. Loeffler briefly served as a Republican senator from Georgia after being appointed to the seat by Governor Brian Kemp in 2020. She lost her bid for re-election in 2021 and then Democratic Senate candidate Raphael Warnock. In the wake of Trump's loss to former President Joe Biden, Loeffler called Brad Raffensperger, Georgia's Secretary of State, to resign, falsely alleging that he had failed to deliver honest and transparent elections. Before she eventually certified the results of the 2020 election, Loeffler refused to fully answer questions about whether Trump had lost the election. In February, after she co-chaired his inaugural committee, Trump selected her to serve as administrator of the SBA. Loeffler and SBA did not immediately respond to requests for comment. That's right. Oh, we need to go over, we won't do it this morning, but perhaps on Monday's Wake and Bake, we need to go over the current push by Kash Patel et al. To resurge the 2020 election denial. We need to talk about that seriously because I will do that over my dead body. I will let them regurgitate that. Let's hope it doesn't come to my dead body. But at the same time, we need to stop this. We need to stop it right in its tracks. Oh, sorry, everybody. Alito's wife said she wanted to fly an anti-pride flag, Vergogna, Italian for shame, when asked about the upside-down American flag at their home because she saw a pride flag across the lake. Man, what a cunt. Top the teal. That's it. That's it, oomph. Top the teal. It's a bunch of micro cults that take advantage of Trump's gullibility and need for sycophants praise. That's why we see so much infighting. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Ice at Dodger Stadium? Really? Yeah, apparently the Dodgers aren't standing up for their immigrant workers. I think that's what I've heard. Yay, Miss Alito. They're all shame parades. Yeah, everything's shame. Shame. I still don't understand how the illiberal right doesn't ask themselves, why do all these billionaires and want extra low-paying government jobs? Seems like an obvious answer would come if they did. I think it behooves people in that ideological corner of the world, Gal. I think it behooves them to ignore what doesn't work for them. You know, I would love to ignore all the things that make Democrats or people that vote democratically look bad. I would love to just be able to ignore that, but we can't. We have to take all of our lumps. You know, does Kash Patel get files that say "for your eyes only"? Is that a joke, Joss, or is that like true? Because that's like why, other than taking over? I know. Well, I mean that there's complicitness, or they think that they're going to be protected, or they think that the lack of accountability for the executive office is going to spill over into their accountability. No, don't be sorry. That was hilarious. Their pastors justify everything for him. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. This is why I wonder why people have time for petty bullshit on the internet when there's so much big bullshit on the internet and the world. This is why. Get your head out of your asses. Stop thinking about yourself. Stop worrying about who likes you, who doesn't, who talked about you, who doesn't talk about you, who doesn't jump when you say jump, who doesn't, whatever. Get the fuck over yourselves and start thinking about other people. Period. Someone today told me that my holding a sign was stupid. Yeah, well, holding a sign is stupid. Yeah, that's right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. What am I even doing for humanity? Right? Mm. You don't know me. Yeah, truer words were never spoken. Being rich doesn't equal smart. Oh my God. Let me tell you, I worked with a lot of rich people in my life. A lot. Because that was my job. There are very few brains, very few smart, very few compassionate. There are some very compassionate rich people, but it's just harder to be compassionate when you're really, really super rich. Because apparently you view everything as a threat. And you don't remember what it was like to eat burritos until you got your next paycheck. Lay down with pirates, get up with scurvy. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. Holding a sign makes you look stupid, says someone who's been wearing a red MAGA hat for 10 years. Yeah, true. Maha. Make America Humpty again. Baby, do the Humpty Hump. Do the Humpty Hump. Okay, well, I think it's time for me to go. 3 hours, holy moly. I read so much to you today. I'm so sorry. I hope it wasn't too boring. I really apologize if it was. I'll try and be better. I'll try and do better. But thank you. Thank you so much for coming today. Tonight, 6 p.m. on the Discord, I'll send out reminders. Oh, thank you, Tom. I'm glad. I'm glad. I enjoy reading, so keeps me young. Tonight we're doing another documentary called Juneteenth, Faith and Freedom. Faith and Freedom. And that is a PBS documentary we're doing tonight on the Discord. So I will be putting out all the details on that. So please join us on the Discord. And then tomorrow, oh, good. I'm glad. I hope it does. Or at least I hope it just provides a droning background that either assists in your working or your napping. So hopefully. I know. I know. You were so confused. Oh, I'm sorry, Oren. So and I was sorry I was late. You like my droning back. I see the thing is I like being a droning background. Like that makes me happy. Because you could choose a lot of droning backgrounds. You have a lot of choices. Thank you for choosing mine. Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm so delighted to do it. Have a wonderful day. Happy Juneteenth. Happy lifting up of the liberation and hopefully doing better, and a reminder of how poorly we have done about that. How poorly we've done when it comes to actually living values that we propose we have when it comes to things like Juneteenth and others. I definitely think if you haven't watched the 13th, I just thought that was a great encapsulation of a lot of very important history for Black America, and I really appreciated that film. And then tonight we'll see if this film I think actually, Max, isn't more about like the faith part of it necessarily, although I think it has something to do with a pastor's reflection on Juneteenth. But anyway, so it might not be, I don't think it's heavy. It's a PBS documentary. I don't think it's heavy on religion per se, but we'll see. We'll find out. Let's see. And then tomorrow I don't have any wake and bake in the morning for now. But tomorrow night we are having 2 movies, and the second one is Abby, which is a movie from the 70s. It was like what did we call it? What is it called, Max? Like it's like a the Black Exorcist film, but it's from the 70s. And it'll be our B movie tonight, our kind of cult film that we'll watch. I haven't figured out what our first film is. Do we know what our first film should? I'll have to think about that. If you have ideas, you can tell them to me offline or wherever. But yeah, that'll be tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Tonight at 6 o'clock. So we got movies both nights. So come to the Discord. Blah blah blah. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna shut up now. All right. Thank you again. And oh yes, please work on the carburetors. Please attend to the carburetors. And be safe out there. It's probably really hot in parts of the country. So if you are in the part of a country that is very, very warm, please be careful. If Abby isn't available, I suggest the driver's seat. 1974. Okay. Perfect. I haven't looked for Abby yet, so I'll have to look for that. But yeah, be safe. If you're in a part of the country that is experiencing a heat wave right now, just make sure you're hydrated. Make sure just make sure you're okay. All right? Be safe. And thank you for a great morning. I really appreciate you. And again, sorry I was late. Okay. All right. Bye. I'll see you later. Bye. I will. I'm going to take some freaking ibuprofen for this pain and see if I can get my shit together. Ugh.